And we're live.
We are live. That's right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, gamers. Listen, it is back to a regular Thursday night for PM and the PM. Pong and Mav are back. And tonight we are actually by ourselves once again. It's just you and me, brother. It's just you and me.
It's just you and me, baby. Let's go.
We're just going to have a nice candlelight dinner. We're going to talk and we're going to have a good time. Chat, you're all looking amazing. Thank you for everyone who's being here right now live. And if you're listening to us in the future, or if you guys are just all rolling in, hey, we love you. Thank you. I can't see you all. I'm limited technologically right now, kind of. So I'm on my phone and I'm on my Surface because my Surface is slowly deteriorating before my eyes. But we are here. We're going to make this work. It has been another hell of a week. Today is September the 29th as we come up on October already. First things first, Mav, real quick. I don't know if brother from another Psychonauts is listening right now, but he made me very, very sad today by putting into the DMs the latest link to a Starfield interview with the composer. I always forget his name off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
He reminded me, Mav, that would be 42 days away right now from playing Starfield already. If that was the case. It was still coming out. So I got very sad and depressed on Psychonauts. I don't like you. No, I love you, brother. But anyways, Mav, how has your week been, man? What's been going on with you?
Man, I just been doing this and that, working and trying to play games when I can, streaming and doing shows. I was able to hang out with Boom earlier on Xvlog today.
Yes.
And we had a lot of fun on that show. Man, it's been another crazy week in the gaming world. Lots of stuff to talk about. We got too much to talk about, Pong. I don't know how we're going to fit everything in. But still hooked on NBA 2K, dude. I can't get off of it.
It's ridiculous. Level 90? Level 90.
It's my new Power Wash simulator.
Oh, that's just stupid.
I know.
What are you going to do when you finish clutch time?
Is there only 100 tiers?
I don't know. That's what I was just about to ask you. Have you looked?
You can't go past it, so I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It could be like triple threat. Triple threat just keeps going for like ever. Like
it goes to 250, I think. Triple threat does, as far as what the rewards are, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm just addicted to grinding that. I made sure I installed it like on almost every Xbox that we have, so that way no matter where I am, I can play it, even though it takes up 150 gigs. I play it on my Kishi, on my phone. I play it. I'm trying to make myself sick of it, I think, so I stop wanting to play it so I can pay some damn attention to some of these other games. Like, I still want to get Dealfield Chronicle and play it. It's like itching at me, but I know that I still want to play more of NBA 2K. It's weird, man. I traditionally, in the past, I've always been a big time sports gamer and shooter gamer. Plus, I also love all these other genres. And occasionally what happens is one game will get its hooks in me, and that's all I want to play for a while, and then eventually I'll get burned out on it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So that's been my history with games in the past. I have not played as many sports games the last two years, ever since I started this channel. So it's like, I think people get surprised, like, what are you doing playing those sports games and stuff? And it's like, it's really like part of my DNA, you know what I mean, with gaming. Like, I always been that. Call of Duty as well, you know, is big time with that. And you can call me a casual if you want, but I am also the guy that likes the JRPGs and the RPGs and the RTSs and story-based games like Red Dead and all those things as well. I mean, I like everything. That's part of my problem. I'm kind of like you. I like every genre almost, you know? And yeah, I do feel like at times like this, when I get into one game a lot, that I tend to neglect things. The last one that I got into this hardcore was actually Apex Legends at launch.
Are we actually live?
I think so. Yeah, we're live.
Are we? Why
Yeah.
is my phone not? My phone's not pulling us up. Weird. Okay, sorry.
Well, we have
there we
people
go.
hanging out
There we go.
here.
Now it just popped. It just popped. So
yeah.
we're good. We're good.
We're live. Yeah, Siki says I'm turning into a casual.
No, Mav was casual a long time ago, right? So all he did was sprinkle in a couple JRPGs so he could call himself, you know, a non-casual. That I'm more hardcore than that. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a grazer. I always have been. I used to get made fun of by my friends online for buying every damn game that came out because I wanted to try everything. I'm a FOMO guy. Like
You are that for sure.
it's something. It seems exciting. I gotta try it. I gotta play it and stuff. And then I have certain things that know I'm gonna love, even though I neglect them. You know what I mean? It's strange, dude. But if it's got its hooks in me, it's got its hooks in me. The like I said, the last game that got its hooks in me like that was Apex Legends, and that was a couple years ago when it launched, and I was I think I hit the tier 100 on that when there was only 100 levels at first, like in the season 0. I hit that within like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. So the first is like season 0. I was at max level for like forever, and I accumulated all these rewards and all these bonuses, and I was able to use those for like a year and a half and not even have to pay for any characters. Right? It was crazy. But I haven't been playing Apex. I've been neglecting that as well, even though I love it. But yeah, man, NBA 2K, dude, it plays so freaking good. I wouldn't be as into it if it wasn't such a stellar version of the franchise, right? So they finally got it, yeah, like with some good enhancements that I've been waiting for. Although they still cheat me and stuff, and those assholes, and they've changed some things with some of the, I think the drop rates in my team and things like that. And what about you, dude? You're on mute, by the way.
Back on mute again.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah, well, you're talking to the guy who, again, for the past 2 years has put over 300 hours into each version of
Yeah.
NBA 2K. So I get it, right? So I get it. But they've screwed with my domination mode, which
Mhm.
makes me very unhappy. So I have been resistant to the NBA 2K so far. I want them to come out with better players. I'm waiting for them to bring out the opals and then eventually the dark matter cards, because right now I feel it's inadequate. So, but outside of that, this week has been ultra busy. I had to make up for a lot of lost time at work last week,
Mhm.
obviously, and the week prior due to COVID. So I've been putting a lot of time in work and haven't getting a whole lot of time to play. However, I have been playing Hard Space Shipbreaker, and I brought this up last week, and
Yeah.
I'll bring it up again.
Another one I want to
This
play.
is one. Oh my God, this is one of those games. Look, they have two modes, people. They have two modes. So you can do the campaign. The campaign. Once you get through training, you have to monitor your oxygen levels. You've got a time limit on how much time you can spend cutting up the ship before your day is over with. All that kind of stuff. So if you're into the campaigns and you want some challenge, go with it. But they also have a free mode, okay, where you can just go chill out and cut up ships till your heart's content. And you don't have to monitor your O2, your fuel, all that kind of stuff. You don't have to worry about the damage stuff. Listen, check this game out. I'm telling you that out of an indie game like this could be up for game of the year in certain situations. That's how good this game is. Like I said, this is Power Washer in space with more complexity. So if you just want a chill game to sit back to, float around in space, cutting apart ships, it's fun as hell. And I've been playing that nightly again before I go to bed. It's just a great time to end. It's just a palate cleanser at the end of the night.
Mhm.
Also played some Proteus as well. Been kicking around on
I hear
Proteus.
that's awesome.
It is. If you're into old school Doom, again, I said it last week as well. That's in Game Pass under preview. It's amazing. It
Yeah.
really is. It plays flawlessly, and it's Doom. It's Doom. That's what it is. Except the level design is amazing. The levels are short, quick, old school style, run and gun, looking for secrets, all that kind of stuff. Really great game. Go check out Proteus as well. Other than that, I kicked around. Still been kicking around Assassin's Creed Origins. Still been rocking
Nice.
out on that too as well. Again, because I never. That's the only Assassin's Creed I never touched. And then got the obviously 60 frames update. So I've been kicking around on that for a long time. So I did that. I flew through the hurricane in Flight Simulator. I re-downloaded Flight Sim and took the F-18 Hornet up and flew through
Ooh,
the hurricane. So that
nice.
was fun. Yeah, that was
Did you
fun.
get some turbulence?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It was pretty crazy. Like, wow. It was fun though. And it was really cool looking. And then I crashed before I could land. So,
Right.
because the F-18 Hornet is not as simple as a Cessna. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I was like, "Yo, what's going on?" I lost my. I think I trimmed my flaps too much or something. I
Mhm.
don't know what happened, but nosedive. They couldn't pull out. What else? Oh man, we should talk about this a little bit because we barely got a chance last week because we did the early show. But we had just been kicking around. We can kind of roll this into a small opening topic real quick. But we played a lot of Modern Warfare 2 beta.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We played a ton. I didn't get to play as much on the weekend. Got busy and I was in and out of gaming. And so Mav and I didn't rehook up again. But Thursday and Friday, we crushed and I maxed out level 30. But why I bring this up is because this week it was announced they put out a blog post tweet stating that this was the most played Call of Duty beta of all time now. Most hours played, most players, most matches played.
And they've been having betas for a long time.
Long time. And that includes Call of Duty, 2019 Modern Warfare that was also getting huge praise at one point as well. We talked about this many times, man. We both agreed that we thought that Infinity Ward had a chance here to make the biggest and baddest Call of Duty that they've done in a long time.
Yeah.
And obviously nothing matters until you get your hands on it. My early impressions, I'm going to drop it off over into you to talk about it a little bit. But my early impressions of this game through the beta is this is the most polished Call of Duty beta that I've ever played. Number one, yes, it had its issues here and there, but as they patched little patches here and there, things just kept getting better and better and smoother and smoother. This is like the Halo community. You're never going to make all Call of Duty players happy.
Yeah.
But all the stuff that we were hearing from the PlayStation side of things when they got the early beta, I wasn't experiencing anything like that. Now, if you have a problem because you love just running and ramboing Call of Duty, those types of Call of Duties, I can see how you can feel like you're being penalized with the footsteps. I can see how you think this is a little bit slower, but this is like, for me, the perfect middle ground, man. This was the perfect middle ground of the Call of Duties I've played. I had more fun in this beta than I've had in a long, long time on a Call of Duty. And this is just the beta. But I put this up there, Mav, overall, with the Halo multiplayer beta. I really do, from a polish standpoint, from how things were planned.
Gameplay-wise, it was on point. Yeah,
it was on point. Yes, there's little things here and there that they need to fix and they need to tune up. But overall, I haven't experienced a beta like this that was just so smooth and so seamless. Almost every turn, the new gunsmith, once you get used to it, is incredible. Is it a little complex? Yes. Is the menus a little convoluted? Yes, they are. They are a little convoluted. But overall, I thought this was the best experience. Matt, what were your feelings on this?
Yeah, my feelings were wow. I've seen a lot of the gameplay footage, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, it looks like Call of Duty, but it looks a little bit better, looks a little bit more polished and stuff. Especially compared to the last couple betas. I mean, Vanguard's beta kept me from buying Vanguard. Period. Right? That was so bad. I had never experienced Call of Duty period in that state whatsoever in any of the betas. And I have somebody that's played like all the betas, right? So when I saw that, I was like, it just wasn't feeling the whole setting as well with the style of the game. Nothing was clicking for me. I would say to those that are like, hey, this is not run and gun as much as I like, just wait for Black Ops, right? Wait for the next Black Ops game, right? Like, this is Modern Warfare has always been a little bit more of a tactical experience, right? You can still run and gun like crazy. I mean, we see Jasper running around getting like 60 kills, just constantly running and gunning. You know what I mean? But this is a different feel. Now, some people say it's like too slow and stuff like that. This is my preference, right? The Modern Warfare games were always the perfect sweet spot for me for COD. And when I was playing this, it's like they took that example of what it is for an Infinity Ward Modern Warfare game, and they just amplified that. Much to like what you're saying, what 343 did when they launched Halo Infinite. They took what it meant to be a Halo game, and they kind of just amplified that. You know what I mean? So yes, it has issues. Like my main issues was a random freeze occasionally, or like a a game crash here and there, not very much. I mean, new games come out with worse situations like than that all the time. But the other issue that I had quite a bit of problems with was the UI in the loadout screens and stuff like that, just like random glitches and stuff. But that's kind of stuff you expect in a beta, right? And that wasn't affecting the gameplay.
Right.
So when I was in a
Yeah.
map, when it launched seamlessly into a map, when somebody didn't get left behind, that was another issue that happened
That was
occasionally.
it. Yeah.
So when we launched seamlessly into a map and we got to play these matches, just match after match, man, it was like bringing back that old feeling of COD. Just like, yeah, let's go, let's go. And Jasper just made us look so bad every single damn game. But it was so much fun, dude. And once you start getting those attachments for your guns and you start experimenting with it and finding what you like and what you don't like, different play styles cater to different weapons. I like the gadgets and abilities and stuff they have now. But I got to tell you, Pong, what my highlight was Ground War.
Yeah.
Oh my God, when
Awesome.
when they added the Ground War mode into it. Now I'd already liked Invasion, but when they added the Ground War mode to it, somehow, some way, for whatever, I just like got blinded into just team deathmatch traditional COD on 2019, and I kind of avoided Ground War, thinking it was just like a bigger version of the same thing. How did I miss that boat so much on this? Because this Ground War mode, especially in this game, is like a dream come true for COD for me, man. Like I was getting the javelin, and I was addicted to this. I would get the javelin, and the first thing I would do anytime I spawned in is I would look around. Is there some kind of vehicle somewhere I can shoot this fucking thing at? Because it was amazing. Like helicopters off in the distance. Like you got the UAVs or whatever. You got tanks and jeeps or whatever. And I would just launch it. And I would love if it was actually a chopper. I know I should use the other one for a chopper. But I was addicted to seeing that thing just fly up in the sky and then just sitting there watching it come down and wreak havoc. Dude, I did it on a boat once, and that was super satisfying as well. Seeing these guys in this little raft, just get it annihilated by a javelin. Dude, there's so much fun to be had in this Call of Duty with so many different modes and so many different ways you can play. I knew I was going to be all in on this, and I'm going to say that not only was this the biggest beta ever for COD, I think this is going to be the biggest Call of Duty ever. I think it's going to.
I called that last month. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
It's going to
break records.
It's going to be. I think it's going to not only break them. I think it's going to smash them. But like, which sounds crazy to think how popular Call of Duty is, right? And how big Call of Duty is. But when I look at this game, I'm thinking like it's. Even though Call of Duty is the most popular franchise in gaming, all this kind of things, like it's going to jack it up to even another stratosphere here. And it's going to take us back, even though gaming is way bigger than it was back when Modern Warfare 2 was really popular, right? But I think we're going to have that same feeling like Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 had, especially Modern Warfare 2, when it really catapulted into the mainstream, right? But now gaming is a much bigger business than it was then, right? So you have this Modern Warfare 2 is going to replicate that original Modern Warfare 2's excitement and hype around the community and everything, except it's going to be on a bigger stage.
Yes.
So I'm all for it, dude. Let's go.
And it's going to be around for 2 years.
Yes, 100%. Yes. Yeah, they got
2 years of this.
They got to come out with that content for 2 years. Warzone 2.0 is also hitting, which I can't wait to see more about what they do with that, But yeah, there's plenty to enjoy with this game, dude. And this is like a Call of Duty fan dream come true game. I saw a lot of shit talking about it a little bit here and there just because of those things that you said. I bet a lot of those people are going to be playing the shit out of this game.
Yeah, so do I. I agree with you. And to your point, Matt, the other modes as well, I didn't even touch on them, but the other modes are coming together so nicely that even because I never really got tired of playing the beta, which was that's always a key indicator. Like sometimes you can get burnt out playing multiplayer, right? Didn't get burnt out once. And even if you do, like you said, you go into Ground War. They've got Ground War working extremely well already. Then you got Invasion, which is a whole nother mode. Let me tell you, that Invasion mode is going to be the mode to use to level up your weapons. If you want to level up your weapons, as long as they keep everything the same as they had it in the beta, that's where you go because it's got bots, right? And so you can level up your weapons, you can get those attachments opened up. But Invasion was cool in its own right. It played totally different, huge giant maps, totally different experience. So you've got 2 modes right there. And then the hostage mode as well. We were playing the hostage mode
Yeah.
on Thursday, and we were having a blast on the hostage
Yeah, that
mode.
was great, man.
Fun.
If it gave me
Yeah.
that search and destroy feel, but it was
Yeah.
even better. You know, it felt
Better.
more like Rainbow Six. It's like taking aspect. Okay, so if you like Rainbow Six, it's got this hostage mode for you. If you like third person shooters, it's
Right.
got this mode for you.
Yeah,
if
we
you
played
like
the third
battle,
person too.
if you like Battlefield, it's got this mode for you. You know what I mean? It's like it's got something for everybody, dude. And you
really
get those
does.
great gun mechanics that you only find in a Call of Duty game. So
Yeah, and the sound is incredible.
Mhm.
Again, I was listening when Lemon was playing on the PS5 open beta. Shout out to 108 Dragons. That's the first thing I said when I was watching his stream. Even on his
Yeah.
stream, I said the sound sounds great. But then when I got the headphones on, and then we got into a match, and I started experiencing it for myself. My God, man, we're talking again. I will still say Battlefield has the edge in sound. Battlefield just is on another level sometimes. But I'm gonna say for Call of Duty, this is the best Call of Duty I've ever heard from a sound aspect. I absolutely freaking was so impressed and blown away by them. So yeah, overall, just a really great experience. And like you said, Matt, absolutely 100%. I'm calling it. I've been calling it. I think this is going to be the record-breaking Call of Duty, and it's going to set a new bar. And they said this was the one that was going to set up all future Call of Duty. So it's going to be curious how the other teams come into this with this Modern Warfare 2 setting the bar like this from Infinity Ward. Again, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, people battle that all day long about who's the better Call of Duty. I think Infinity Ward's going to take the lead after this one for the time being. And then obviously it'll be interesting to see what Treyarch does next. So, but great experience there. Before we move on to a couple small topics, I just want to shout out some people. RSJ fan, great to see you in here. Bob's Adventure with Scooters, awesome to see you. General Spartan, of course, brother, great to have you in here with me and Mav. Stuff Sean, always great to see you. Nix is in the house. Nix, what's going on, brother? Outbreak Podcast, that's right. Web Dave is in the house. Great to see you, Web. We got Def Leopard, brother. You know. Great to have you in the chat with us. Fastback OG NLG Podcast. That is brother Chris from the NLG crew. Great to see you in here, sir. Lore Master Jasper, actually guy, is hanging around. The wonderful Caitlin, of course, showing her support with her amazing thumbnails and all the stuff she does behind the scenes. Vik The CLiCK, of course, dropping out here. Vic, great to see you, brother, as well. We got the one, the only, the Hall of Famer is joining us this evening, folks, in the chat. That's Rand Al Thor, the man with a million, jumped in here. Brother, great to see you, Rand. Tony Grasso is in the house. Who else we got in here? We got Siki, of course. Siki, who did an excellent job, sir, making a cut of my intro to Jez on that show, which a lot of people got enjoyment from. So thank you again, brother, for doing that. Appreciate you. Razor NZ is in here all the way from New Zealand. Awesome to have you in here, brother, as always. Shane, what's going on, my friend? Great to have you joining us this evening as well. Calorie, great to see you. Papa Woody is in here. We got Alvin, of course, dropping on by to say hi. What's going on, Alvin? Great to have you in here. I hope you're all having an amazing week. Andrew Cullinane, awesome to have you. Mitchie Dies a Lot. Thank you for dropping on in here and saying hi as well. Ghost Fixter, what's going on? How's it going? It's going good, brother. It's been a long week, but we are here on Thursday night. Me and Mav kicking it, catching up with the time. Rand, I got to give you Hall of Fame, brother. I've done enough to say questionable things by calling you Jez's Robin.
I said hi, Robin, in the chat.
Did you?
Yeah.
So yes, I'll give you Hall of Fame, brother. You are a Hall of Famer for sure.
Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
BigMADMoe, I see you dropping in here as well. Listen, everybody, again, whether you're watching it now live, whether you're watching in the future, whether you stop in for 5 minutes, whether you stay with us the whole entire time, we appreciate you so freaking much. It's unbelievable. Again, Mass channel has been absolutely exploding. I'm proud to be a member of the Fun Speculation family, and obviously to have this show with Mav, which was a crazy idea that he brought up to me one day, and here we are, episode 44 already, and we've got a magnificent chat that shows up each and every week. So love you all. Thank you for being here. Man, we want to start with a couple smaller topics real quick too. A couple things that have popped up in the community this week that one I'm going to let you lead with because I heard you talking about this already, and you remember more of the conversations that we had than I do. I know the basics of our conversations back in the day, but there was this. We've got this problem.
Oh, the
Chat.
old news problem.
Yeah, we got this problem, chat, in this community. And I want to make you all aware of it. Maybe you guys enjoy this. Maybe you guys, share it out too, and obviously, get the engagement or whatever the case may be. So I'm not gonna sit here and down everybody, but it is a problem, and that problem is sharing old news, like Mav just said, within the community. People digging up old articles from year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and posting them as if they're brand new information, and then having the internet go wild with it. Well, we had one of those situations this week, and this came from the Capcom leaks, which happened like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago at this point. But out of those Capcom leaks, we got the roadmap, but we also got contract docs out of that leak as well. And we had gone through those contract docs. You can go back probably to Xbox Ultimate and hear us talking about it. I'm sure we talked about it on Xbox Ultimate.
Everybody was talking about this.
Everybody was talking about who was paying attention, because in those Capcom documents, the contract was a contract that was with Sony PlayStation, and there was a specific paragraph in there that caught everybody's attention who was reading through it. And that paragraph pertained, and I believe this was the Resident Evil Village contract, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Now.
Yeah, which has also been brought up again in other situations as old news.
In other situations. Correct.
It keeps this one thing keeps popping back up that people have forgotten about.
It's recycled. It's recycled time and time again. So this week it was about the paragraph that had to do with parody.
Mm-hmm.
And we dissected this on multiple shows, because I remember being on multiple shows talking about this. But the parody clause in there, people freaked out about it when people first read it.
Yeah.
Saying that PlayStation was writing up contracts that would force developers, publishers to produce a game that was less than what it could be on Xbox if they could make it better than PlayStation. That would not be allowed to happen. That PlayStation would hold back Xbox. So this whole thing got brought up again this week as a fresh news article, and got blown up yet again. And the misunderstandings were the same as it was the first time around when we went through this map. Yeah. If you read the parody clause and you're not reading it fully, or you ignore a couple of the words that are in there, it can seem to be that way. But I'm going to let you explain it, Mav, because you remember this breakdown. Again, I heard you talking about the other day, and you remember this breakdown much better than I do. Go ahead. You take it away. But in actuality, that's not the case, right, Mav?
Yeah, it's weird that the overall the gaming community has very short memories, right? They forget that Xbox
shortest memory everywhere.
Yeah, they forget that the 360 held a market lead for a really long time, right? Or that anything like that. It's pretty crazy that the way that the memories go with gaming. Like, you can forget that, hey, just last year there was a lot of big first party titles on Xbox that reviewed very well, right? Or whatever. And now, so a lot of people are like, no big games have launched on Xbox this generation, period. It's just ridiculous. But like the memory thing with gamers is why a lot of these articles take off year after year that are old. Right? This is the Capcom leaks, and eventually a lot of them disappeared off the internet because they got DMCA'd, right? So you know what? If you had that still saved on your computer, it's easy to share back, and people are gonna have a hard time finding it on the internet still. But you can go back and find this article and this original Capcom leaks that was originally claimed to be not true by Sony, and then they went and DMCA'd everybody on it. And then it came up with Microsoft saying that it was true, back to the one of the regulators and one of the deals that they've been working on, that Sony basically has deals that keep games off of Game Pass, which is the important thing to take away from that contract more than anything else, right? This time, for some reason, somebody made a tweet screenshotting it, no links, nothing of source or referrals or whatever, bringing attention to the parody part, which was also part of the conversation about 2 years ago, which was also, if people remember, was also a conversation back in the Xbox One PS4 generation about Xbox. People forget that as well, but there was a similar conversation going on back then where people were claiming Xbox was having this parity clause holding back PlayStation. That was a thing. I heard it on multiple shows back then on the major podcasts that we talked that I listened to, and it's been recycled and turned around and flip-flopped now because of language in this document as well. So what people kept missing was the line, and I don't have it in front of me, but there's actually a very one specific line that has always shut this down. And anybody that thinks this is unique to PlayStation contract, this parity clause is not. It's been shown before in Xbox contracts. It's been shown in other gaming companies' contracts as well that have platforms, and it's more pertaining to the amount of content in a game. If you're marketing a game, you're funding part of the development. Essentially, they don't want you to be putting more modes and more other things on another game. People take this as performance, right? If this was true, you wouldn't see games being having 120 frames modes on Xbox or that aren't on PlayStation. You wouldn't see some PlayStation games perform a little bit better. A lot of Xbox games have higher resolution at 60 frames than PlayStation games. Even games that have had marketing rights with PlayStation as well have actually either had a higher resolution or higher frame rates on Xbox. So there holds no weight whatsoever. The main thing that people keep missing is the line where it says subject to the limitations of hardware, right? So when you include that line, it basically takes that whole performance narrative out of the equation. If one cannot perform performance-wise to the ability of another piece of hardware, it's out of the picture. Doesn't matter, right? But they don't want them to go and say, okay, we're only going to do the work to optimize it for 30 frames when the other console is 60 frames when we could get it to do the same thing. It's just we're not paying as much attention to your hardware for whatever reason because our lead development platform is the other one, right? There's lots of reasons behind this. It makes a lot of sense business-wise, and the whole parity thing is spreading around again. If that was actually holding back games and performance-wise and all these different situations, it'd be different issues, but there's been actually zero evidence of that even happening whatsoever. So I don't think it's a valid conversation, really. And that's why we're bringing this up, to kind of bring to light that this is an old article. Experts about 2 years ago on YouTube and other places that actually have more information and knowledge on how these contracts are written and work broke all this down. Yeah. And pretty much reiterated what I said. I'm speaking based on their knowledge and everything, and it's like people just miss the line. The line's in a contract for a reason, right? Yep. And it pretty much nullifies any of those concerns that are out there. I don't know. I just don't really see any point to that argument or whatever. So anyway, what about you, Pong?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I remember. And the only other thing I'll add to that is features, right, Mav?
Yeah.
The whole thing that this is to protect is, let's say Xbox had a DualSense version of the controller that had haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, and a developer was making multi-plat. What Sony is saying, and Xbox, because they've got the same parity clause, just written differently because it's by different attorneys. They don't all use the same language, but it's the same thing. What they're saying and what they're protecting from is the dev going, okay, we're going to give Sony the haptic and the adaptive triggers, but we're going to hold that feature off Xbox. No, if both platforms have the same abilities, then all that's doing is saying you got to make it equal across both of those abilities. But just like we see with haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, because that's only available on DualSense, multi-platform games can take advantage of that because Xbox doesn't offer it, so they don't have to give it to Xbox because it's not available. So that's the other part of that I think is important. All it's doing is making a level playing field if both sets of the equation are equal. Again, like if Mav said, if one console can do more because the other one just doesn't offer it or doesn't have the ability, then the devs can still take advantage of that other console.
I think there's some that also think that these publishers pay for performance as well. Yes. Because I've seen, like, I was listening to some show, I don't remember, it was a PlayStation show, and They were talking about the example. Well, Xbox does it too. Xbox pays for like these 120 frames modes and stuff like that, and PlayStation don't have the 120 frames mode. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works at all.
No.
That's they are. It's capable of the 120 frames mode on the Xbox. Like, for example, if you want to look at Madden 23, there's a 1440p 120 frames. Doesn't exist on the PlayStation 5, right? Because for whatever reason, they can get it to work on the Xbox Series X, but they can't get it to work on a PS5. So therefore, that's why it didn't exist. At least at launch. I don't know if it's been updated since then, but nobody really talked about that. And it's not a huge deal, whatever. But it does make potentially, if you like 120 frames, it makes that version a little bit better, right? And why? It's due to hardware limitation, right?
Correct.
It's not due to anything else. So people can say, well, Xbox is just paying EA to do that. That's not the case. And these devs want these games to perform optimally on every device they put them on, right? Mm-hmm. They want to sell games wherever the game is going to be. They're not going to release a shittier version on purpose.
No.
Just point blank, right?
No. But my only argument with the parity clause is that for third-party devs, it doesn't incentivize them to go out of their way to necessarily take advantage.
Yeah,
right?
100.
You know what I'm saying? Budget-wise, time-wise, like if they get 60 frames, but they could do more work to get 120, they won't necessarily go that extra
it's a
mile.
risk versus reward thing there.
Correct. That's why first-party games are so important.
Right.
Is because first party is going to take advantage
of
the hardware to its fullest, or should.
But that's always been the issue with third party games. When you're developing for so many different platforms, that has to factor into the equation, and always
and what the lead platform is, like you said as well, Matt.
And always, if PC is a place you're going, that's always going to be the highest and the lowest as far as what the specs are going to be on that game, right?
Right.
So. It just depends on what they're able to get to perform or how much time they have to optimize and for the hardware that's presented in front of them. And those parity clauses don't really hold much weight with performance wise. Content wise, they do play an impact because they're usually written in deals with marketing rights, right? As well. So it's been those Microsoft documents were shared out there in the public before as well. Those were leaked, and that's where the original freak out happened way before the PlayStation one. So just throwing that out there.
Correct. Like I said, you remember more than me on it.
I remember stupid stuff. I have a really bad memory, Pong, but useless information and big conversations like stick with me. And I remember like the 2013 conversations, like really well. You know what I mean? I remember.
Sure.
I remember all the 360 PS3 conversations really well. I remember all that stuff. I remember.
But you don't remember what Caitlin said to you 30 seconds ago.
Yeah. I don't remember why I walked into the kitchen. What did I come in here for? Well, this is crazy. Me and Kate were together. Like I was probably like 22, 23. And she asked me to get something in the kitchen. I don't know what I was thinking about. I have no clue what the fuck I was doing. I was just thinking about something. I walked to the kitchen as she was in our bedroom. I walked to the kitchen, went under the sink, grabbed the dishwasher tabs, and brought them back to her. I don't fucking know why the hell I did that. And when I was walking in there, I was holding them. I was just like, what the fuck am I doing right now? I'm holding some Cascade tabs. Like,
you got the brain of a 90-year-old.
Yeah, but I can remember a conversation from some random ridiculous thing like 8 years ago. Yeah, it's weird, dude.
It is weird how our brains work from time to time. Oh my God. Shout out to Talus Ray for jumping in here. OCD Gamer, Mr. Joanna Dark, Rain G4, 108 Dragons. Just talking about you, Lemon. I was talking about your PS5 stream of the Modern Warfare 2 beta and how I love the sound when I was listening to it. Sappho, great to see you as well. Deccaddo, always awesome to have you in here. Masshole 1977, brother. Great to have you jumping in our chat as well. Again, Tony Grasso's in here. We got Raid Zafar. Awesome to see you in here as well. Thank you all for jumping in with us this evening. Again, no matter when you're listening to us or how you listen to us, we appreciate you all. So thank you for that. The other topic, small topic that I did want to bring up real quick, was something else that popped off yesterday, and this was Project Gray, a game
Mhm.
called Gray. What a lot in why I bring this up, because Mav and I like to get this situations corrected for the community. If we know about them and if we can correct them, let's do it. So there was a firestorm kind of yesterday, if you were around Twitter, because somebody put up a tweet with this Gray game, which reminded a lot of people, including myself, of the old Prey. It had a Native American um, in there fighting aliens. So really, the old Prey. It got a lot of people excited, but the person who decided to start this firestorm decided to claim that this video was showing that it was coming to Xbox Series consoles in 2023. So, of course, everybody ran with it. No fact checking, didn't double check it. They had clipped an Xbox kind of ending on top of the video that was originally released, so it looked like they were announcing that was Xbox. So let me just set the record straight in case anybody still has any false information. This was, I'll read from MMOculture.com, and this was posted by Cinderboy 3 days ago. So Project Gray is a one-man development studio showcase concept trailer. In Indie is the name of the gentleman, or the person, I should say, the developer. Indie is a one-man game development, or it's a studio, I guess. They're calling it a studio right now. Indie is a one-man game development studio in South Korea, and recently it released a concept video for its game in the prototype phase called Project Gray. The game is currently being described as an open-world adventure action RPG. As seen in the video, an advanced alien civilization known as Gray has arrived on the main character's planet. While gaining new abilities through Gray, primarily in the right arm, the main character eventually fights to drive them out after discovering the secrets of their arrival. There are apparently some secrets connecting the planet and Gray waiting for players to discover. While there are many ruins to explore on the planet and puzzles to solve in the ruins, the floating spaceships in the skies can be explored as well. According to Indie, and each spaceship is not limited to a one-time play in this non-linear open world, but is planned to provide players with exciting scenarios with requiring different strategies through a modular configuration. The Korean studio is currently looking to add more development staff and can be reached at, and then they give the studios information. So again, this is a game that is a concept. It is in prototype phase. This one developer in South Korea, and shout out to the one developer. Again, you listen to me on any of the shows. You listen to me in Steel on Saturday mornings. You listen to Mav and I. We have been pounding the table for Xbox to get into South Korea. The talent that's coming out of there as far as gaming goes is absolutely revolutionary. This one dude put together this concept trailer. It looks great. It looks playable right now in its current form. But all he's trying to do is promote his new studio. He's trying to get funding, and he's trying to get more talent to join him. So this is a concept trailer, a prototype, nowhere's near 2023 coming out, no platforms announced, nothing close to that. So again, want to correct that. Matt, you got anything else to add to this at all, sir?
Yeah, I hope the guy finds success with putting out the clip of the game. Looks really impressive. I'm not as excited about it as a lot of people are, just because it doesn't look like necessarily my style of game, like something that I'm personally excited to play. But it graphics wise, it looks really impressive. But yeah, good luck to the devs. Crazy talent there again in Korea, right? They
Yes.
just keep showing up in those parts of the world. Just these solo teams or indie teams or small dev teams, just showcasing their talent on many levels. And I hope this achieves what he wants. I'm hoping with this hype behind it, he gets to recruit a team and get make the game a reality. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then we'll find out when and where it'll come out and how many years away it'll be, right? Whenever it's actually officially announced. But
Yep.
long way from that,
Absolutely.
probably. So
Hey, Indy, if you're listening to this right now, contact ID at Xbox. Sarah Bond would love to talk to you, I'm sure. So give them a call. They'll be more than happy to help you guys out.
yeah,
So, all right. So we got the small stuff out of the way. We talked about Modern Warfare 2 beta. We corrected the wrongs of the community this week so far that we've heard. So, Mav, where should we jump into here? Because we got a lot to cover, brother. We got a lot to cover.
Ooh.
You want to jump into the big one right away, or should we jump? Actually, you know what? We always like to get the negative stuff out of the way, right?
Yeah. So should we have a memorial service right now?
Well, yeah,
Or
we could
wait,
do that,
is
or we
Reverend
could do.
Pong gonna show up again in this episode at any
No,
point?
no,
Okay.
no, 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 no. So yeah, let's jump into that real quick.
Right.
So, no Reverend Pong for this one. This was not a sad day per se for me. I don't like to see things fail no matter what, because I think anything that helps the industry grow
Yeah.
is a good thing, whether I'm interested or not. That's why I'll never
Mhm.
down mobile gaming, even though I really don't. I played mobile games. I played a lot in my past. I just don't have a huge interest in that. My favorite thing. So I'm never going to down anything that pushes the industry forward. But today we've been hearing smoke for a long time now. And it was, for most of us, we believed it was only a matter of time. But Google finally pulled the plug of the life support on Stadia, and they are ending it completely, 100%. So I'm going to read the Verge article that came out today. That was from Jay Peters and Alex Kranz. Google is refunding all Stadia purchases, hardware, software, and DLC. Members of Stadia team will be carrying this work forward in other departments at Google. Google is shutting down Stadia, its cloud gaming service. The service will remain live for players until January 18th, 2023. Google will be refunding all Stadia hardware purchased through Google Store, as well as all the games and add-on content purchased from the Stadia store. Google expects those refunds will be completed in mid-January. Shout out to Google for doing the right thing there. Again, you got to give credit where credit's due. Company is big enough. They're huge. They're gigantic. But going the extra mile, refunding everybody for their purchases, at least through their store. Again, they're not going to cover third-party sales, or obviously, or anything like that. But just refunding all their customers for all their purchases in their hardware. Good on them. Quote, a few years ago, we launched a consumer gaming service, Stadia. Stadia Vice President and GM Phil Harrison. Shout out to Phil Harrison for killing off something else again. Once again, he's got a great record, by the way. Don't hire Phil Harrison if you want something to succeed. That's all I'm going to say. Said in a blog post, and while Stadia's approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technology foundation, it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expected. So we made the difficult decision to begin winding down our Stadia streaming service. Employees on the Stadia team will be distributed to other parts of the company. Harrison says Google sees opportunity to apply Stadia's technology to other parts of Google, like YouTube, Google Play, and its AR efforts, and the company also plans to make it available to our industry partners, which aligns with where we see the future of gaming headed. So once again, they're going to license out this tech, which is a smart move. Google's going to continue to make money on the tech. Google detailed some of the finer points of the shutdown and FAQ. Refunds will automatically be made through Google and Stadia stores, and you won't have to return any hardware. Stadia Pro subscriptions will not be eligible for refund, but you will not be charged during the shutdown period and can access games you might have redeemed as a Pro user until everything is wound down. Google has closed the Stadia store, so you can't buy games or in-game transactions. The writing has been on the wall for a while, or for Stadia for a while now. Most recently, when Logitech announced its new cloud gaming handheld last week, and Stadia was one of the few cloud gaming services not mentioned. But Stadia has been facing rumors of its demise practically from the start. Google's habit of killing projects only a few years after they launch, and Stadia, a cloud gaming service from a company with few ties in the gaming industry, seemed like a prime candidate for an early demise. Last year, rumors abound it would be shut down after the number of games released to the platform slowed, and the company shuttered its in-house gaming development studios, which was right after the ZeniMax acquisition, by the way. With those rumors popped up again this year, Google insisted that Stadia was not shutting them down. Quote, rest assured, we're always working, bringing more great games to the platform in Stadia Pro. The company said in a tweet, which was true until today. Microsoft, which has also invested heavily in cloud gaming, declined to comment. NVIDIA, which makes the GeForce Now cloud gaming service, and AT&T, which used the Stadia tech to power a couple of game trials, didn't immediately respond to requests for comment. So, Mav, like I said, I've said this on other shows. I do follow people in the Stadia community. And yes, there is a Stadia community within our community for sure. Because I'm always interested in what they have to say, because it is such a small niche kind of market.
Mhm.
And it was a sad day over there. Let me tell you, there's a lot of streamers who are pro Stadia, who have built entire channels around Stadia. This is a bad day for them, and I feel sorry for them. Never like to see this happen. And again, I think that Stadia was good for the industry. I think it pushed things. And I think it had the potential to actually push xCloud even more as a main competitor if they could have stayed afloat. If Google was willing to invest heavily in gaming, I definitely think it could have been a competitor. But obviously, business side of things, their strategy was not solid with how they sold the games, the cost, all that kind of stuff. And that was always the complaints coming out. But today is the final day, and hate to see it go. But Mav, what are your thoughts on Stadia shutting down for good coming January the 18th, 2023?
Yeah, I mean, it personally doesn't affect me whatsoever. So as far as that goes, I don't really have any personal feelings towards it. As far as like the industry goes, I don't think it's a good thing. You know what I mean? Anytime a big player tries to step into the market, I think it's good for them to fully stand behind their products and invest in it fully. You know what I mean? It's good that they are offering the refunds to any for all the games purchased through their store, and also for the actual physical for the actual Stadia hardware launched to their stores where as well. However, that doesn't really help anybody that's bought any physical hardware at any other retailers, right? Or any of those situations as well. I was curious if I don't know if they had any kind of those like physical cards at like kiosk and stuff like a lot of the other companies do for like gift cards or points or whatever. If you bought like a Google gift card, you know, at the store to use on Stadia as well, maybe they can refund that. But what good is all that credit going to do you back for? You know what I mean? I don't know. So there's certain situations like I don't think it's going to necessarily be 100% right to the gamer. You know, but I do wish that these companies if you're gonna do something and you're gonna stand behind it, you're gonna market it to the extent that they did with Stadia. You're gonna push it out there. You're gonna try and say it's the next big thing in gaming, and then shortly after you release a product, you stop development on your first party titles. Right, that was the first thing they did. They closed down the first parties, and then they're only focused on third party. That was the first sign that they were already bowing out. It didn't have as massive of a launch as they wanted to, so they just thought it was going to be an immediate smash hit success, right? And when they didn't get that immediate smash hit success, they were like, "Okay, let's take a step back." And then guess what? It didn't ever take off like they wanted it to because they weren't fully committed, right? And what if they had released some really badass exclusive games or really had some hype behind some of the things coming to Stadia? Then it could have had a better chance. There was a lot of people that I've heard that really enjoyed Stadia, that had become fans of it, that really enjoyed the experience, that thought they had great streaming tech as well. But we kind of knew from the start that the business model that they had come up with for this was just bad. I mean, having to rebuy these games and play them uh, within that storefront was not a great idea to begin with, right? So the way that they had come up with that, we criticized that many times, hoping they would come up with a better model, more like maybe like Luna has, right? As well. But they just didn't really fully. It never seemed like their heart was in it. It seemed like it was a let's just see this if this is going to fly and going to take off, and if it explodes, hey, cool. If not, then oh well. You know what I mean? Screw everybody that tried it or bought it. The consumers don't really matter to us that much. It's just um a failed experiment, and that's kind of how it feels right now with Google and their attitude towards it. Now they're doing right by doing the refunds and stuff, but it's still going to be a lot of impact to a lot of people that had kind of been injected into that ecosystem that were using it as a primary place to play. They're going to have to find other options now, and I do wish that they had committed fully. They could have acquired more studios. They could have done more different things and tried to get more things off the ground. You know, they had Kojima at one point making something with them. They when they stopped their first party development, that's what happened with Kojima's cloud game, looking for a new partner, ended up back with Microsoft. So, you know, at this point, because they're not fully invested, I guess I'm glad they're out of it because I'd rather companies that really have a passion for gaming do it. Now, Google's still involved in the gaming industry, right? This does not take them out. You know, like mobile gaming is huge, right? They have the whole
The Google
Android
Play Store
stores that
is
is
crazy.
massive, right? So Google Play, they have the Google Play Pass and stuff, a subscription service there as well, right? So they're very successful in gaming overall as a storefront, right? But they were trying something new that wasn't successful. They said they're going to use the tech for other things and stuff like that. Um, but it's a shame. It's disappointing, especially for those that really love Stadia. And I could imagine being like somebody that was really like used to, involved, and loved an
Mhm.
ecosystem, right? Because it happened to us before with Dreamcast,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And it's like, hey, that was just now taken away from them, you know. And not only do it was taken away, but they lose the ability to play anything ever
Right.
again on that. Like it's just going to be pointless because it was an all digital type ecosystem, right? So, um, yeah, kind of sucks, dude. Kind of sucks.
Yep. No, and I think the other thing it does show is that you can't dip your toe in this industry.
No,
If
you got to
you
go all in.
want to, you got to go all in. If you want to make a mark, this industry is too competitive. This industry is too full of options. If you're going to jump into this, you better be fully committed. That's why I am still waiting for Amazon to do it. I'm still waiting for them to fully commit with a big acquisition or the formation of more and more studios, which is difficult to do, as we've heard, especially nowadays. Talent is in talent is rare now. There's too many companies out there gobbling up devs. So I need to see Amazon, and I don't want this per se to happen. Again, I'm all for competition, but Amazon doesn't have any heart in the gaming industry, and they haven't shown me that they really do outside of an interest, kind of like Google, in seeing what they could do here and if it's worth their time. And until they fully commit, until they're all in, until they prove to me that they have good intentions for this industry, I can't trust them either. And that was always my problem with Google. Again, I would like to see Stadia compete. Like you said, Matt, they were on their way. They had, again, there was problems, but had they fully committed, they would have been given chances, especially with getting like a Kojima, exclusive game to Stadia. That would have drove interest. They could have done different things. It's just funny that they closed down their first party studios as soon as Xbox bought ZeniMax. I think when they saw the numbers on the ZeniMax deal, which is 1/10 of what now Microsoft is attempting to invest in Activision Blizzard, when they saw that 7 billion, they freaked out. Google said, "Yeah, no, we ain't ready to commit that much money." So I think that was the start of the downfall, or at least a tipping point for them, where they finally decided that they weren't here for the long haul. But it is, like you said, you know, you can't come in half-hearted, can't tiptoe in. As much credit as I give them for refunding their customers, you are leaving all your customers out to dry. And again, it's the same with everybody. I bought the Jaguar, bought the Dreamcast, bought the Saturn. I've been through failed hardware before. The only good news was with the hardware back in the day, you got to keep them and you could keep games and keep playing them. Stadia, like you said, Mav, you're out of luck. You can't play them at all.
Yep.
So sucks for the community. But it is what it is. But it is a big day. It is big news. I know most people care less about Stadia, and I totally understand. But as far as business side of things go, Google's out.
Yeah.
Outside of the mobile, which
Hopefully
again
they
is
people
huge.
get refund on all the in-game content and stuff too.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
and I hope they do. Yeah, I hope they do too. And I think that by the sounds of it, they're again, if you bought it through their store, they're refunding you.
Yeah.
So,
Like what happens if you
uh,
played NBA 2K or something on Stadia, or I don't even know if it was on Stadia, but if it was, and you bought a bunch of like My Team packs or something, you
I
know?
doubt that
You doubt that,
because
right?
2K gets a portion of that, right? So I doubt that Google would.
Right, but the thing is though, like
Yeah,
you lose access to the
yeah,
title
you,
forever. So
yeah,
that every investment you made in any of these games
yeah.
is gone. You
Well,
know?
look at Bad
So
Ones Fall. Bad Ones
right.
Fall less than a year. Nobody's getting a refund.
That's even
No one's
worse.
gonna-
Like
Yeah.
that is the most ludicrous bullshit thing I think. And this is Square published this again,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Again, fuck you, Square Enix, right? I don't know if they're 100% responsible for this decision. If it was only a 1-year publishing deal and it was going to go to,
They're in the charge of the servers, no matter what, right? Because Platinum ain't running their own servers.
So that game was a $70 game, PlayStation exclusive, right? I don't know if it hit PC. Didn't catch on. Nobody bought it because it's
Yeah, it was on PC because remember there was one person playing on Steam.
yeah, multiplayer. I think it's multiplayer focus as well, right?
Co-op.
Yeah. So didn't take off. The game didn't review very well either, right?
Yep.
Wow. Why isn't I'm curious why people aren't posting sales of that as an excuse why PlayStation gamers don't buy Japanese games. Like, I'm sorry. However, you know, that game failed to meet expectations. So what do? Do they go and they try and do better and add content and get the player base back and really fix things and do right by the players that have purchased the title? Do they even to the extent, okay, well, we're going to stop developing new things for it and keep it going at some point, or like an Anthem, right?
Yeah.
Or they just shut up shop a year after release, no refunds for anybody, and no way for anybody to play the game.
Right.
Has that ever happened to this extent before, like this?
I'm sure it probably has at some point, but I can't think of
A highly marketed game like Babylon's Fall. It was at the Square Enix like E3 showcase. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, we've had failed MMOs left and right that continue to their servers for a period of time,
right?
To allow. I mean, eventually they cut them off, but even the smallest of fan bases still can play those games on other, on a server, on a dedicated server. So that's why it's hard to think of anything off the top of my head that ended up this way, where they're just cutting you off.
I mean, that seems like grounds for like a class action lawsuit or something for anybody that bought the game. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's in the terms and stuff,
it's
but
in the
like
terms, yeah.
However, I'm sure a good lawyer, or, enough people that got behind that, if there was enough people to even file a class action lawsuit that bought the game in the first place, I would think there'd be some kind of case against that, because that is absolutely asinine.
Well, it's the ammo that everybody brings up against digital, right, Mav? It's the ammo that everybody brings up.
That is the negative thing, and that's why you if in this digital future of gaming, right, which is not even the future anymore, it's now the digital era of gaming. You have to stand behind what you put out, and you have to do right by the consumer, right? You have to make it a priority. It's not just about what you're releasing today and how long it's going to stay. It's about making sure it is supported and it has forward compatibility on future hardware. It's about making sure you're developing something that is going to be able to at least be played for years at the minimum, right? And then even after it's removed from storefronts, for example, on licensed games that lose licenses on things, they have to still support those games with making them playable on those devices for many, many years. I mean, we've still been able to play 360 games until recently online, right?
Yes.
And you're talking about 2 generations ago, and like a game only 1 year after release. Like, I get it was a failed game, right? But I feel like people overlook this because it didn't do well and nobody really cares about the game.
Yep.
But somebody likes the game, so people bought the game. Like, you don't make a product and not stand behind it, especially one that with as much effort and marketing and everything put behind it to sell to the masses, and especially even at that price point. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just a F you to the consumer, period, point blank. I can't stand it, dude. Now, I'm not going to pretend like, oh, we should only do physical now because of something like this. It's just not the era we live in. That would be a backtrack on the future of progress of gaming as well, because you introduce a bunch more limitations at that point than digital has, right? But there has to be certain rules in place. There has to be certain protections put in place for the consumer that with aspects to this, and it needs to be handled properly, because you can't have games out there. Hey, it failed. We're just going to remove everybody's access to play it. Right? That's just not what you do. So Square Enix fuck them, man.
Especially games now, right? Especially games now, like when we get into start getting into full cloud development games and we get into these that are running in the cloud, it's going to be harder to do. But right now, there's no reason why Platinum can't patch that game so that it runs offline, so that people can play single player, that they can still pop in their
Right.
disc and play it. Right? That doesn't make any sense to me. That should be something that the industry as a whole themselves puts down the standard, saying, hey, if we have the ability, we're going to, when we develop the game, we're going to have a safety switch built into the game where we can patch it if we ever decide to take our servers offline, where the people that own it can still play it in a single player version of it if at all possible. And I think that has to become a standard going forward, like you said, Mav, when it comes to games. So definitely an interesting conversation, and does show kind of that side of the argument. Again, I'm not, when you're buying a game from Microsoft, the chances of Azure servers ever going offline is very small within the next 25, 50 years. so I'm not worried about the big companies, but the smaller companies, the Square Enixes and stuff that have limited resources, that can't afford, or even if they can afford it, they're not going to budget it out to keep a server alive for a game that is all but dead and there's only a small community playing it. That's the scary part. That's the part I don't like, because this is exactly what can happen. So 100%. Speaking of PlayStation, actually, we weren't speaking of PlayStation, but I was thinking Square Enix, so I automatically think PlayStation. So, speaking of PlayStation, Mav, some stuff popped off today. Of course, Thursdays is the new dumping ground day for some reason.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy for PM and the PM.
It is
get all day
crazy.
to look at all this crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, I wake up in the morning. I wake up and get going in the morning, get in the office, and I got a message from Mav in the DM saying, "Hey, what do you want the lead topic to be?" And it's always like, "Hey, let's let the day play out. Let's see what happens because it's Thursday."
I got to get the info to my wife for the thumbnail.
Right. But something's been happening every Thursday. It seems like for months now, where we've had something big, and today we had multiple different things. But PlayStation today, we knew about their new PlayStation Stars program, a rewards program. Again, bravo to PlayStation.
Yeah, great.
Given a rewards program like Microsoft, Xbox, has been doing forever, and Sony's had versions of it in the past, and they had a current version, but you had to have their credit card to earn rewards.
I remember I used to have this diamond Xbox Live card in my wallet, and you could use it at a movie theater to get a discount. Remember that shit?
Yes.
I don't remember what it was called.
I had the PlayStation one too, Matt, back in the day. I actually got, for joining their program, I still have a notebook and pen around here, like a small calendar notebook with, you could put phone numbers and everything else in it back in the day, like a data organizer from PlayStation. I still got it somewhere around here. I've still got the pen. It doesn't work anymore around here as well. But yeah, they both had these programs that you could use. But PlayStation Stars is the new one that they're dropping, which we've all heard about. They're going to have NFTs, not NFTs, rewards in there. Things that you could earn, digital
collectibles. That's what they're
collectibles, digital collectibles. Yes, I should have put it that way. Digital collectibles that you can earn. They're also talking about being able to earn points from purchases towards potentially other rewards, including, but they've been very vague on this, how it's going to work out with Microsoft. We know what we're earning for the most part. They're going to be able to earn points towards the PlayStation Store, etc. But today, Mav, it launched in Japan and it's coming to the United States in October 19th, I want to say, I think is the date. I'll read this article from VGC. This is written by Chris Scullion over at VGC. PlayStation is giving Top Stars members priority in customer support. Players are criticizing the move, which implies other users will get a poorer service. Players in Japan have been expressing their displeasure at one aspect of the newly launched PlayStation Stars loyalty program, which offers better customer support to players on the highest tier. PlayStation Stars, which is coming to the West later in October, lets players earn rewards by completing a variety of campaigns and activities. The program also has a 4-tier level system in which all players start at level 1 and can work their way up to level 4 by buying games and earning trophies. However, some users are upset that the level 4 tier, which is unlocked after... Okay, I need clarification on this, Mav. Tell me if you read anything different because I'm going to read what the article says, but I still need clarification on this. However, some users are upset that the level 4 tier, which is unlocked after buying 4 full price games from the PlayStation Store and earning 128 rare trophies, rewards players with improved customer service. Have you seen anything different? Is it an either or situation, or do you have to do both of those?
I think you have to do both.
Okay.
I think so. I'm not
Okay.
100% because
All right.
this is
Chad, if anybody's read anything different, please let us know as well. If anybody's read anything different, but this article is saying you have to do both. So you got to buy 4 full price games. I don't know if they're counting 20. I don't know if they're calling indie titles or if this is $70 and up games. I don't know. This isn't explained for sure. And earn 128 rare trophies, not just any trophies, the rare trophies. Okay. According to Sony, the level 4 tier perks include a commemorative collectible and a promise that when contacting PlayStation customer support, you will be given priority in the chat order. This essentially appears to mean that the level 4 PlayStation Stars members can skip the queue when contacting customer support with an issue. After Japanese site Automaton pointed this out on Twitter, numerous followers expressed their frustration at the perk, with some pointing out the good customer service should be a standard and not something you have to pay for. Quote, customer service must be equal, Twitter user Akatusura said there are people who only like a few titles and play them, and there are gamers who can't afford money or time. User Koshi Furunodo also where's Steele when I need him? He needs to read these names for me. Also suggested that customer support should be weighted towards newcomers who are more likely to have issues. Quote, you say that more you play with it, the more you will prioritize customer support. Pause. They wrote, but the more you play with it, pause, the less you use customer support. There's something off about that. You should give priority to beginners who are new to the game. Quote, if you're going up a level based on time played or something, that's fine. But ranking them by how much you charge is not likely to get a very good response, said user Garcia. Quote, I don't think it's a good idea that you prioritize your customer support, added Yossi44. I bought a PlayStation 5 just for Final Fantasy 16. Is it okay for someone like that to be put aside for later? Others pointed out that PlayStation Stars could have been more useful had it launched last generation, as it would have given a legitimate way to make sure diehard Sony fans would be able to buy a PlayStation 5. Quote, if this functionality had been first introduced 10 years ago, giving people with a high level of priority access to buy a PS5, reselling wouldn't have been as bad as it has been, Twitter user Battlefield18 said. Following the Asian launch rolling out today, PlayStation Stars will roll out in America on October the 5th and Europe and Australia on October the 13th. So I was wrong on my dates. October the 5th here, Europe and Australia, October 13th. It's not yet clear whether the same perks will be available for Western users once the service is active in their region. All right. Look, I'm not gonna say like this is the biggest deal in the world. I can't, and I've been around for a long time, over 4 decades now.
So long, so Paul. You've been around so long.
I know. And I understand that other industries do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that.
Saltgrass Steakhouse, shout out,
Yeah, shout out to the gas station who gives, money off on, cents off on on gas if you use it. Listen, there's a lot of different industries that do this in a lot of different ways. I understand that completely. So I'm not going to sit here and deny it. This is the first time we've ever seen this. Like Sony's inventing some new perk. Okay, that's not what's happening here. And overall, in the grand scheme of things, how many times are you contacting customer support? Well, probably not too often unless you're a problem child. Okay? So I don't think in the grand scheme of things this is huge. But when you add this to the resume that Sony has been building this generation, not all of it very good in a lot of different customer service aspects, this is kind of one of those just, hey, let's sprinkle a little bit more on the top of the shit sandwich we're trying to serve you. Okay? So listen, I don't understand the PlayStation community out here, defending this, because at the end of the day, just because other industries do it doesn't mean Sony has to do it. And if you're trying to compare a gaming company to a credit card company,
Yeah.
I don't think that's apples to apples when you're doing those two things, or to a banking service or one of those. This is a customer service front facing industry.
Yeah.
This is, again, an industry that started as a kid's game, as a kid's toy. Okay. And yes, it's grown, it's matured, obviously. That's why I've got 3 billion people playing games across the world. It ain't all kids, obviously. You got a 47-year-old right here talking to you. So, but at the end of the day, this just really puts Sony into a spot where, number one, they don't have, at least from my personal experience and from people I personally know's experience, I have very few people that I know, and I never have had good customer service from Sony when it comes to PlayStation side.
Yeah.
We all know the situation where if you try to get a refund, they lock you out of your PlayStation account.
Yep.
That's a fact. Okay, that's not just me. That's not anecdotal. There's tons of people who have posted this as fact.
Yeah.
They will lock you out of your account if you ask for a refund. So, and they don't respond to you in a timely fashion when you have questions. That has always been an issue. I think I had an issue years ago on my PlayStation 4, and literally I had hit them up like 5 or 6 times over a 2-week period to get them to respond to me. Look, this stuff is nonsense. They don't have the best customer support. Now you're saying, and if this is how it's reading, you have to spend 4 games, full purchase price games, and knowing Sony, it's going to be $70 games. They're not going to count Stray. Okay, they're going to say it's got to be $69.99 and up. So let's just go with it, $280. And you got to earn 128 rare trophies. Mav, I played a lot of PlayStation 4. But as a grazer and as not a trophy hunter, it's not like I was earning rare trophies left and right. I was earning bronze and silver, plenty. But it's not like I was getting those rare trophies. So now you're cutting it down so that, hey, the top 1% of our customers now get to cut in line, or the top 5% of our customers get to cut in line. That's not, again, not the biggest issue to me, but it's still not right. And I'm not going to sit here and just say because other industries do it that Sony should be doing this. I don't think they should be touching this. What happens if it all of a sudden starts coming out, Mav, that people are having issues with their PlayStation 5? And also you got people on Twitter saying, oh, I got my issue resolved like in 5 minutes because I'm a tier 4. And then you got people that are not a tier 4 saying, I've been waiting 3 weeks for this issue to be resolved and I'm getting no response. Now you got a real problem that starts to get traction outside of even the community when people start having these issues. So, Mav, on your side of things, again, a lot's been said. Of course, the console wars nonstop every day. People are using this, right? Obviously. And again, I don't necessarily agree with that per se. Again, some people are blowing this way out of proportion, but it still is a negative light. What do you think, brother?
Well, I think here's the thing. Is it going to cause a huge issue? I know, but it's still an asshole move, right? Like, this would be a good time for me to remind everybody we have Team Jim shirts in the store for $70, right? For the payers, everybody out there, which reiterates that whole vision. And when I think of something like this, Pong, I try and put it into, like, in my mind, what this would look like as a physical manifestation of this, like old school days, like actual local support place where you have to take your hardware in to get fixed, right? So imagine, you got all these 12-year-olds with their dads, and you got all these families sitting in line with their broken PS5s and issues with their games or whatever, and you got this line, it looks like the DMV, right? Then you got this indoor sunglass wearing asshole come through, It's got his level 4 badge.
I'm glad you had props ready.
He's got his level 4 badge. Yo! You got 100 and something fucking trophies? I bought 4 games? I'm moving in the front of the line of all you motherfuckers. Welcome to PlayStation. I've been here longer. I get help now. Wait, little Timmy. some bitch. That's how I feel when I use my skip pass at Saltgrass Steakhouse. Um, it's it's absolutely like it's just a weird thing, right? Now, yes, there's other companies that do this, right? It's not like the first. It's not like they're setting a trend here. You know what I mean?
No.
It just doesn't fit well within the industry that it's in, especially when people need help immediately a lot of times, right?
Right.
And if you're like automatically put forth into the queue because you spend more money, it's just kind of a dick move to have in the first place. Like it just goes along with that whole pompous attitude, or like we treat the players who are willing to spend more money better than the rest.
Right.
It's not a very welcoming feeling as somebody into an industry or a community or anything like that. Customer service in the gaming industry has gone downhill, period. In my opinion, Microsoft's is also a lot worse now as well than it was before. It's kind of,
Yes.
since it's a 360 generation, it's been in
Absolutely.
a very downward trend. However, there are avenues that they have that to help not have to get to that point with a better refund policy and all these other issues that they've kind of tackled to streamline the process, right? Where PlayStation doesn't have. So overall, PlayStation, I would say, probably is the, I don't know how Nintendo's is. You know, I haven't had to deal with them, but like out of Microsoft and PlayStation, PlayStation has by far the worst, right? And to now have to wait potentially longer because you got the level 4s coming through. You know, it's just like it's just a weird move, man.
It's very strange. And how about the dude that buys 10 games in a year,
yeah,
but doesn't get any rare trophies?
Yeah,
And he's
yeah,
still not a
that's true.
level
That's like me
4.
and you, dude. You know,
Yeah.
that's like me
Yeah,
and you.
that's what I'm saying.
Like it just doesn't make any sense, and like I don't know, man. Like I just don't. It just doesn't. I can't get behind it. And Jasper asked, says, if I get a gym shirt, can I be tier 5 support? I'll say this, like those team gym shirts, $70. If you buy one of those, that should probably automatically grant you tier 4 support right away. Level 4s all the way. I'll add level 4 to that shirt probably on there. Team gym level 4. Shout out to Splendiferous with the $2 super chat. So shout out to my peeps in the chat driving right now. Hey, yeah, everybody driving.
Of course
home.
you're driving, Splendiferous. Of course you're driving. Are you making your wife listen to us as well, as you usually do?
Be safe, Splend.
Yep. Be safe.
Yeah, dude, it's just weird, man. It's, again, like you said, it's not like, oh, it's gonna ruin everything and PlayStation is doomed because of this. Like they're hurting themselves enough in all these other areas, and it seems like this is just like icing on the cake, cherry on top, another little piece of the pie of the attitude that they have towards the community and how they're treating things right now. So hey, people keep making excuses. People keep, you know, just saying, okay, well, you know, it's what it takes it's what it costs to be a PlayStation gamer and get that premium experience. So I'm just gonna take it. You know, I am premium and I bought those things, so it doesn't affect me. I get better support now. Yeah, that's how a lot of those people look at it, but it's just, I don't know, man. It's a weird privileged type, like entitled type mentality that they have.
Yeah. And we know if the shoe was on the other foot and Xbox put out something like this,
it would be destroyed. Yeah.
They would be destroyed for something like this. I mean, again, Microsoft has tiers, but they don't lock customer service queues behind those tiers. I mean, again, at the end of the day, is it the biggest deal? No, they've had much bigger missteps this generation already. They really, really have. But it's just like every time Jim just came out and talked about how Microsoft isn't looking out for the customers. They raise their prices. They add this, you know, their games are now $70, right? And they add and then they raise the prices on the actual consoles across the world, except for the United States. And then you have something like this, and it's just like a little. It's just all these little. It's a death by 1,000 cuts, is what it is.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you don't have premium customer service from the get-go, then how the hell are you going to start making it an additional tier to try to get ahead of the queue of your already bad customer service? Fix your bad customer service first. Have world-class customer service first before you start doing this kind of nonsense. I mean, Again, yeah, people have been comparing credit cards, but I'll tell you this much: American Express, when you're paying that extra money to be a gold or a platinum member for the year, you get treated to some of the best customer service in the world, and that's because they've already earned that quality. But Sony, again, has had this problem with their customer service for a long time. And again, I'm not taking, like you said, man, all things being fair, Xbox's customer service has gone down compared to where it used to be. 360 era with the whole red ring of death, they were on top of their game. Like they had to be high quality. And I'm going to say that now is not the same as back then, but they're still 10 times better than what Sony is on the customer service side.
Yeah.
So fix your customer service first before you put different tiers behind a paywall.
And Microsoft,
and again,
more improve yours too, please. Right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just overall.
Again, yes, overall. And please give clarification, because if you could, I'm not even gonna say it, because 128 rare trophies is ridiculous. And if this is yearly that you have to earn it, that's like holy cow. And I'm sure it's going to be, but we'll find out more details as this gets rolling out here. Like they said in the article, don't know if this is just a Japanese thing or if they're going to roll this out. Assuming they're going to roll it out to everybody, but we'll find out in October. But we had to bring this up because it was in the community. And again, not making the hugest deal out of it. Not going to say it's the end of the world for Sony. It's just one more little thing added on to a bunch of different things. Look, it didn't need to happen, is all we're saying. There's no reason why they had to do this.
Just trying to think of a little cool thing that they can do to add value to the past. And it's just a dumb one. I'm hoping they take the feedback and change it before, because the reason they launch it in these smaller territories first and in certain territories, so they can get feedback, right? And make changes and do things as necessary. And I hope that they make the changes before it's global. So
absolutely. All right, Matt. Before we get into the big topic here, let's do a couple smaller ones again. We had a couple of gaming news specifically, and everybody likes to have fun gaming news. So, very quick one. We got the official new release date teaser trailer for Scorn today. And surprise, not a delay. And again, shout out to Scorn developers. They have said consistently they're ready to rock and roll. Well, guess what? They're ready to rock and roll a week ahead of time. So we are now getting Scorn in Game Pass, available on October the 14th, a week early. Mav, this was a cool trailer. Again, I know Scorn's not for everybody. I'm going to try it out. Love the aesthetic, right? Obviously. Who knows? It might be too scary for me, but it's a puzzle solving. It's supposed to take about 8 hours to get through. Very creepy. Some people are grossed out by it, including Steel. What do you think, brother? Cool to have this coming out on October 14th?
Yeah, they got out of the way of Gotham Knights. For me, that's a good thing, because I'm all in on Gotham Knights. I'm gonna be all over that shit, right? That's maybe one of my most played games this year. So that moving out of its way gives me a chance to kind of dabble into Scorn to see if I'm into it or not. I'm not the most excited for this game. It does look beautiful graphics wise, like. It looks very survival horror-ish.
Beautiful.
Horror-ish. Yeah. It's beautifully disgusting in a way. Like good graphics, but its tone and setting is not something I would be personally usually excited for, right? It's just not my style of game. But I'm always willing to try anything and see if I like it, especially if it's in a service, right? That gives me access to the game. So I'm gonna give it a go, see how I like it. And it's cool that they're moving it up. If it's ready, drop it. And it seems like they're ready to go on this thing. They've been confident about the release date for a long time. So this makes sense. And I think moving it up, because they were going to drop on like the same day, I think, as like 2 other games, I believe. Or one of those got pushed back, I believe, into December or something. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it was High on Life, I think, was potentially going to launch that same day. So that whole cluster of like that October 21st time is clearing up a little bit. Maybe that, you think there's a chance, Pong, that, remember the old speculation that we had that Microsoft would go and do a Gotham Knights deal for Game Pass would come true, and everybody's moving out of the way of that one big Game Pass game? I'm just saying, this is like, that's crazy off the left out of left field, but we always did say if something like that was to happen, it wouldn't be announced so close to release, probably a few weeks before release, right?
Yeah.
So if we were to get an announcement like that, that would mean it'd probably happen next week, right? At some point, maybe Monday, Tuesday, whatever. I don't foresee that happening. However, in a year where there was more of a lack of first party releases, and Gotham Knights, even though there's a lot of people excited about it, has had a little bit of people like kind of easing on the brakes on it a little bit as far as their hype for it. Maybe a Game Pass deal and a multiplayer focused Arkham game would make a lot of sense. And maybe they could have dropped the bag and, said, hey, Scorn devs, hey, Scorn, hey, look, we got another huge release launching on the 21st that could potentially impact how many people are going to play your game. Do you want to move it forward or move it back? What do you want to do? And they're like, hey, we're going to move it forward. Just a thought, just in the back of my brain. That this is no rumor. This is not coming from anywhere other than just me making shit up in my brain that I want to happen. I'm trying to will this into existence because I think it'd be good for the game as well.
Oh yeah, because I would play it for sure.
Right,
if that happens.
So anyway, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like that 21st date that we looked at before and was like, that's going to make it impossible now for Gotham Knights. Is now not all of a sudden.
Well, man, I wasn't gonna go down this road, but since you brought up Gotham Knights, we might as well real quick too. Just to add a little flavor to that. And again, it comes with nothing. It's just Mav and I speculating. But let me put this out there for everybody, because our community, especially Mav, here on Fun Speculation, because we spend so much time in Speculation Town as co-mayors. And I saw Boom drop in here a little bit earlier. Shout out to you, Boom, for dropping in here and saying hi if you're still here. Great show today, by the way, for you two.
Yeah,
but we found, rumor mill, for everybody who's been listening to us, we've been pounding the table for WB Discovery.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like the fire is heating up on WB Discovery. So let's throw this out there. I was listening to Benji Sales today. Shout out to Benji. Again, a great member of this community. And he does gaming, but he does all entertainment. He is one of those nerds like us that has a passion. And he brings so much information to this community. So shout out to Benji. I love jumping in his chats and listening to him talk. He does a one-man show randomly each week. Opens up the chat to questions. Great. But he got on his show today, and somebody asked him about WB Discovery. And I guess the hot news in Hollywood, and because I don't pay attention to the entertainment side of things so much anymore, the hot news in Hollywood right now is that the deal for WB Discovery is selling completely. The whole kit and caboodle, if they don't get rid of other things, to Universal. And this is happening in 2024.
Yeah.
And they can't sell it legally until 2024 due to the Warner Brothers Discovery, the Discovery purchase of Warner Brothers. That locks it down until 2024, and then they can sell. That's why you've seen them cut back on the movies. We've seen all this craziness coming out of WB Discovery. They are trimming fat left and right to be sold to Universal. And Benji said, and he's got good contacts in the entertainment side, the Hollywood side of things. He follows and talks to people about movies, and so he's got ins over there as well. It's not just rumor mill. It's not any of that stuff. He said this is as close to a guarantee as you can get, unless something drastic happens. The deal to Universal is going to go down for WB Discovery. So in his chat today, somebody asked him about the gaming division because of that, and said, does the gaming division get sold? And he said, if they feel they're getting rid of anything that is not going to be good for the sale. So, but he said that because the gaming division is profitable, his guess is that they will hold the gaming division and sell it as part of the package to Universal. And then it'll be up to Universal to decide what they want to do with the gaming division. And he said his belief is that Universal will keep the gaming division because there's a lot of profit to be made from the gaming division. And they've got a good one with the licensing and everything else. They're set. So he believes that Universal will keep everything. Where I was going with this with those math is WB Discovery's in the position right now. I forget the CEO's name. God, off the top of my head. Do you remember?
Dumbass?
Yeah, dumbass. Sure, we'll go with dumbass. DA is in the position right now of making this look as good as possible. So to Mav's point, with all this going down with Universal, would WB Discovery be more open to taking some Game Pass money?
Dropping that bag on their doorstep when they need that
the
cash
risk.
flow? Yeah.
It takes the risk. It takes care of a bunch of the development costs that went into this game, which we know has been long in production. It would definitely make sense that at this point that they might be willing to take that Game Pass bag. And obviously, Phil would love to have that game on Game Pass. It definitely would solidify the lineup for the end of the year. Like Mav said, it is, an Arkham style game, which is highly popular. It didn't start out with the biggest, everything they showed us originally did not, set the world on fire as far as hype goes. But recently it's gained some hype. They've had some better showings. Maybe they're in business, Mav. Maybe you are on to something and you're not on something right now.
It's just a feeling, and it's just like like trying to look at something that I believe would make sense for not just for me, obviously, and saving me money because I'm going to buy the game anyway, but for the developers, for the publisher, and for Microsoft in a year where they haven't had as many big time first party releases to try and find that one big title. Also, that's a superhero genre game, so you be able to check that box as well as having marketing rights and also this hype around a superhero game on your platform, which people have been asking for a long time. And there was a reason I brought this up several different times on Xbox Factor podcast when Boom was talking about stuff, and I've talked about it on some of our shows, and it's just been in my mind. And then I gave up hope, Pong. I gave up hope because I was looking at that October release slate, for Xbox and Game Pass, and I was like, well, all those games they had in there's no way they're going to do that. So I was like, you know what? It's no more hope there. But now I see things clearing out of the way for that same day. I think it opens up a possibility. I'm not going to say it's just not like a slam dunk guarantee or whatever like that. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying like,
no.
I think there's a chance. There's a chance, and it just adds up that, if they were to go for one big one, like for me this year, that would be the one, right? And it just fits with Xbox's MO with the multiplayer aspect as well. The type of game it is going to be ongoing. That means it's going to be potentially healthier for the game as well. So I would like to see it. I don't know if it's going to matter or not, but you know what I mean? We'll see.
That would be a crazy week because that's Persona 5's release date for Game Pass as well.
Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily coincide 100% like with
it doesn't.
Right.
Two completely
but you don't
genres.
drop like four big releases the same day. Like Scorn, High on Life, Persona, and that, you know what I mean? But now we've seen High on Life move out, and we've seen now Scorn move out. So just a thought.
Nope. It's a great thought. And like I said, WB might be open for business right now. They've got nothing to lose. If they're selling, if that deal's all but done at this point and they're locked in, take the bag. I mean, what do they care? They don't care. It's just, like I said, it'll eat up some of that development costs. It'll look good on the numbers. It'll look good on the books. Like Shizno said, he doesn't care if it's a Game Pass or not. It's day one.
I don't care. I don't care either.
Absolutely. No, that's going to have a huge audience, even without Game Pass. Don't get me wrong. There's just those like me that are on the fence that aren't the biggest superhero people that if it wasn't Game Pass, the player base would be through the roof. I mean, there'd be more people jumping into that game no matter what. And it would be a big get to have that week to say we're dropping Persona 5 and Gotham Knights into Game Pass. My God, that'd be the talk of the town. So
I would add also that there's history between WB and Microsoft in the past. So like
history.
Matt Booty, I believe, comes from there, and he has a great relationship also with Ed Boon and some of these other people. Speaking of, I wanted to, just because we're on WB Discovery, and this is a small topic.
You want to go with the Boon?
Can we talk about what Ed Boon said on Twitter, Pong Soul?
Go ahead. If you've got it, go with it, brother. You got it right there?
I don't have the tweets in front of me. However, what I do remember was...
Hold on. I'll get them too. Go ahead, talk.
Somebody was talking to him about, like, he was doing a Q&A or whatever on Twitter. Ask me
did
session.
Impromptu Q&A. Yes.
And somebody was like, hey, how's the game going that you're working on? And he was like, it's going great, but like, who said we only have one iron on the fire right now, right? So NetherRealm is at least working on 2 projects.
Okay, I've got him.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right, so I've got him because I was the original one who saw this going down. So,
yeah, that's awesome. I was like, so excited when I saw you that shit. When you posted that shit, yeah.
So, person said on Twitter, "How's the new game coming along? Can't wait to see what you guys have in store this time." Ed Boon responded, "Good. but we've got more than one pot on the stove.
Yeah.
And then somebody asked him, will we see anything about the next game before the end of the year? Ed Boon responded, good question, but I can't disclose. There would be too much speculation and misinterpretation. I don't want to throw you off. And then somebody else said, genuine question, any plans for cross progression and cross play on your next mystery game? Ed Boon said, we are definitely exploring all that. Can't promise anything to this point, though. So that was most of the interesting stuff that came out of there. But the two, more than one pot on the stove caught my attention for sure, man. Go ahead.
Right. You think so? I'm thinking, okay, he's done a lot of this interaction, asking questions on Twitter and like, hey, what's the next thing you want to see NetherRealm do? Like, he's trying to get feedback from the fans, like what their hype level is about certain IP and stuff like this, and Injustice and Mortal Kombat was on there. Then it was like, I think there was like a Marvel versus DC or something like that, or I can't remember exactly. Like, but they're kind of stoking the fire with things, and he's been really active. Ed Boon's one of my favorite game devs out there. Period. He's just a legend. But hearing him actually just come out and say that they're working on more than one project means that also I would assume that if you're acknowledging that now, that it maybe not very separated super far apart, right? That they've been working on two projects for potentially a little while. And I'm curious exactly, what that would mean for what they're working on. Like, is it Mortal Kombat and Injustice again? But rumors were that they were working on something different, something new, So what is that?
Implied.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is that new thing that they're working on, man? And NetherRealm is a fighting game studio. Like, so I would anticipate something like that. There's been several rumors about, who would be a good fit with, again, we talked about the relationship with Xbox, about Killer Instinct, would they be potentially a good fit for that?
Ed Boon said he would drop Mortal Kombat to go make a Killer Instinct. People forget
he said that. Yep. So there's so many different avenues here that has my brain swirling. Again, I think WB Discovery is willing to take money for funding on games right now and different things from different sources, just because they are a cash-strapped company as a whole right now. So even though their gaming section is profitable, the more profit they get from that to help offset their other issues that they're having, the better. And security is going to be a big deal for them to withstand the storm that they're going to face for this next 2 years, right? So I think there could be potentially some things there. Who knows exactly what it is they're going to be working on. But anytime you have NetherRealm come out there and make some little teases and little statements, and this would be a good time. We have the hype for Street Fighter 6 out there now. Just made a great showing. We've seen the hype for Tekken 8 out there now that had a good showing. Fighting genre is coming back in a big way. Who carried it last generation? Who carried the fighting game genre last gen? Mortal Kombat and Injustice. NetherRealm carried it, right?
Yep.
Street Fighter 5 kind of flopped. Tekken was not what it used to be. Soul Calibur wasn't what it used to be. Several different franchises kind of failed to live up to their franchise potential, except for the NetherRealm games, who took a step forward and became the real, like, great fighting games last gen. Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice 2 were just stellar. Absolutely amazing games. And dude, whatever they have cooking next, I think it's going to be absolutely insane. And I can't wait to see. And the fact that they have two going is even more exciting. It makes sense why we haven't heard from them in a while now. When did Mortal Kombat come out? Was that 2018? Mortal Kombat 11?
2019, I think.
I don't know, man. It was so good. And that game did get a free update. Still holds up so well. Yeah, Mortal Kombat, it's been 4 years, I think. I think it's 2018. Could have been 2019. I think it could have been 2019. Let me know, chat. See if you're faster than Pong's finger.
It was 2019.
2019? So it's been 3 years since that came out.
April 23rd.
April?
Yeah,
so 2.5 years. And traditionally, they've probably been pretty quick between releases. So I would anticipate, now we did have COVID and everything interfere after that, so maybe push things back a little bit. So I would anticipate maybe a 2023 release for their game, one of the two, maybe 2023 for one and then 2024 for the other.
Yep,
sounds about right.
I wouldn't put it past Boone and his team breaking out a little bit if they want to try something different. I know that's their wheelhouse, but there's nothing saying with Mortal Kombat's campaign and that kind of not open world, but that kind of world setting that they've kind of built into Mortal Kombat now, which I really, really enjoyed. Maybe they make a fighting game that's different than we think that it's going to be. Maybe they go really outside the box. I would not put it past them, but I do believe, Matt, I do believe that this could potentially mean that if they've got 2 teams now and they're working on 2, maybe Boone is helming a Killer Instinct. Maybe Boone is living that dream while also co-producing a secondary game in one of the other lines like you talked about. Not Mortal Kombat per se, but whatever. Marvel, DC, who knows what they decided to do. But maybe they really are doing this. And maybe Killer Instinct, like you said, with WB Discovery, WB themselves, even before the Discovery purchase, being cash strapped, trying to decide what they're going to do, more open to license out their team to go do something like a Killer Instinct. I think this raises the potential that they are working on a Killer Instinct. Now, we've also heard the rumors that Arc System Works, which Microsoft just made, a play for Game Pass, got Arc System Works to finally, bring over Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear to Game Pass next spring. Maybe that's part of that deal. Maybe they did. Maybe they are working with Arc System Works. Interesting, but I can't wait to hear what Boone and his team are doing because, like you said, NetherRealms is truly at the top of their game. And Boone, and he's got that team to a point where they are masters of their craft when it comes to fighting games. And whatever they're doing, I'll be excited. Again, as a non-competitive fighting guy, as somebody who just likes to button mash, I enjoy the hell out of NetherRealm games. So, listen, I can't wait to hear. Great call, Mav, to bring that up, by the way. I totally forgot that was this week.
It just entered my mind because we're talking about WB, which we weren't even going to talk about to begin with anyway.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. Hey, RWK, appreciate you asking. I was going to say something at the beginning of the show, but I'm a little bit fried today, so I apologize to everybody. But I wanted to give a shout out to all the community members living in Florida, anybody who's got family and friends in Florida that just went through Hurricane Ian. Hey, shout out to all of you. I made it public. My dad lives in Cape Coral, which was at the epicenter. It made landfall just 20 miles north of where he was. So he was in the eye wall was over Cape Coral. RWK, I appreciate it. I got limited technology, so I can't answer you in the chat, so I'll just answer this now. He's doing fine. They had to abandon the house because the canals, they live on the canals. Canals flooded, water came up to the house, in the house. They had to abandon, go to their neighbors, which is on higher ground. They spent overnight there, came back to their house today, started cleanup. House is intact, mostly just water damage. Could have been a whole lot worse. My dad was worried about his boat. His boat was okay, but absolutely devastating stuff coming out of Florida. So shout out to everybody. Hope everybody's safe. I hope everybody's loved ones are safe, and everybody made it through okay. We got a lot of community members who live in Florida, and obviously a lot of family from other people like myself who live down in Florida. So shout out to everybody. Hope everybody's okay. Nothing but thoughts and prayers for everybody that got through it safely, and hopefully the worst is over again. We don't know. It's headed back out to the Atlantic, so we'll see if it builds up again. It could affect another state, but right now it looks like Florida's through the worst of it. But what's left behind, this is going to be a long cleanup. The stuff I'm seeing, not just from what my dad sent me, but from all the shots, all the devastation down there. It's going to be a long rebuilding process and cleanup. So shout out to everybody out there that is affected by it for sure. But thank you, RWK, for asking me. I do appreciate that, man. Mav, we got another game. You posted this in our DMs today as well. We got a game that, listen, it's EA and Ubisoft are so weird with their games and how they announce them and when they decide to announce them. We've known for a while now that freaking Need for Speed has been coming back. And we've known this for a while. We've had all these rumors come about stating that it's close, that all of a sudden we're going to have a Need for Speed, a new Need for Speed called Unbound. Well, and then we got today from Tom Henderson. Shout out Tom Henderson, who started a new website for anybody who doesn't know. It's called Insider Gaming. A really cool website. Tom Henderson gives a lot of good information on Twitter as well. Cool dude. Great guy. So he posted an article. Despite constant behind-the-scenes delays for Need for Speed Unbound reveal, sources have now said the reveal is imminent. It's understood the long-awaited reveal will take place within the next 2 weeks. Rumors have suggested the reveal will take place in early October, although we are unable to corroborate on an exact release date. Sources have also revealed that Need for Speed Unbound will have a release date of December the 2nd, 2022. Yes, that's right, folks. This Need for Speed game that has not been shown at all, that's just been rumor mill city, is going to show up in December 2nd, 2022. It's understood that the trailer is around 1 minute and 30 seconds in length, and its soundtrack features American rapper A$AP Rocky. Need for Speed Unbound has been a hot topic of discussion following leaks of the game showing that the title will incorporate anime elements within the title. Shout out to Grub, who was the first one to break that. Fire, smoke, flames, etc. will all appear from the car as you drift, jump, and crash. As I reported at Xputer earlier in this year, it's understood that Need for Speed Unbound will be very multiplayer focused and feature meetups. Meetups will allow people to race against one another in different locations around the map. In addition, it's been said that this Need for Speed Unbound will feature a unique map that is completely unique. Stop using unique so many times. I use words constantly too, but whatever. Unique map that is completely unique to the Need for Speed franchise. Originally, it was understood that the title was going to be revealed in July, then August, and then September. No official reason has been given for why the constant setbacks, but the reveal date is now on the horizon. Need for Speed Unbound is scheduled to release on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. Current gen only. Yes, folks, current gen only. No last gen stuff. No official word has been given on the game if it will arrive on past generation consoles, but there was an update. Sources have confirmed that Need for Speed Unbound will only release on current gen consoles. So, Math, Need for Speed. Oh, man, a franchise that you and I have both loved through the generations, through the decades. A title that we grew up on time and time again. Some of our favorite racing memories come from Need for Speed games of the past. However, much like Battlefield, it has not been on a good run for a while. I didn't mind some of them. Some of them were decent, for sure. Just not the Need for Speed that I remember, like Need for Speed Underground being one of my favorites of all time. So we're hoping for a return to form here, Mav. What are your thoughts on Need for Speed Unbound being revealed within a couple weeks and then just launched December 2nd, 2022 with seemingly little to no fanfare? What's going on here, man?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Need for Speed, I think, could have a chance to be really successful when it releases, just because we've been itching for this game to come back for a really long time, in a big way. And this year, there's not a lot of like racing releases, period, anyway. So with the amount of time they've been spending potentially on this, it has a chance to be good. I don't know why they spend so long to reveal it. Like it almost makes you think they're not confident in it, right? Or either that, or it's like supposed to be a big surprise. It's got to be one or the other. This has been teased for a while, I think, from Tom Henderson before about when the reveal was going to happen, but they didn't know exactly what the release date was going to be, and they thought they were targeting November at the time. And it seems like now the target is December 4th, with a reveal potentially
December 2nd.
December 2nd. Sorry, second with with a reveal maybe in the next 2 weeks or so.
Yep.
So that's just like so short. Now we've asked for this in the past. Hey, reveal a game right before, like a couple of months before it comes out. So that way you just have a couple months of excitement and lead up. And like Todd Howard even says that's how he would like to do it. You know what I mean? At Bethesda. But it is strange with the franchise like Need for Speed. So I gotta wait to see the game and know what it's gonna be. But why does that game get revealed so early, right? And then other games, like, they take forever. You know what I mean? It doesn't, it's just kind of weird, you know?
Yeah.
Ubisoft is the worst, I think. With revealing games like really early and then just kind of disappearing and coming back and disappearing. Like, it's like, what's going on there? Right. So at least it's that situation. I just hope to God that when this actually gets revealed, it looks promising and looks good, because it's a franchise that's been used to be prominent, right?
Yes.
It used to be a yearly release even, right? Like it was like Need for Speed. Everybody got the Need for Speed every year. And then the racing genre, for some reason, just got relegated to a niche genre.
Yes.
And for no reason, when it used to be one of the most popular genres in existence, all of a sudden it's niche. Is it the same with fighting genre? All of a sudden the fighting genre is niche. Every genre can be niche if you just only like really look at it. I mean, first person shooters and action adventure games, I guess, are not the niche ones, but like, what does that mean? Everything else is niche. Like fighting games and racing games used to like be the two of the main genres, right? There was like
Right.
fighting games, racing games, shooters, and RPGs. I mean, that was pretty much like the mass of like console gaming for long. There's platformers, right?
Yeah.
So for the fact that like the last generation, like for example, and I made this point before, I feel like last gen in some ways kind of sucked, you know, with certain genres for some reason being put on the back burner. And it wasn't just like as an industry decision, hey, these genres aren't important anymore. It's just like all these different publishers who had big time success with these franchises all of a sudden started investing in other things and having lower budgets for some of these titles. Like Street Fighter 5 became an exclusive, you know. You had Need for Speed got lower budgets and they kept experimenting, trying different weird things all the time and shorter dev cycles. And hey, we're just going to keep experimenting with different thing after thing until something hits. And guess what? Nothing hits because you're not putting your all into it. You know, you're not taking your time really to really bring the franchise back. It's just like, hey, what cliche, interesting concept can we do with this Need for Speed that's been maybe going to grab some attention, right? As much as we said NetherRealm carried the fighting game genre last gen, Forza and Microsoft carried the racing game last gen, right? Racing genre. Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport were the two prominent racing game franchises. You had a few players in there, Drive Club. You had the Crew. You know, you had a GT Sport. I mean, you had
WRCs, which are niche anyway.
You had some little games here and there, you know, but nothing was anywhere near the level that Forza was, right? Project Cars, you could say that, Grid. But I want to see, there's a hole in this market right now, and that hole used to be filled by games like Need for Speed.
Yeah.
But they just relegated themselves to such a like secondary franchise for them, even though it's a big franchise for them. They just, not with their budget, not with their attention to detail, not with their focus, right? That became just like a milking cow that you just picked which dev was gonna make the game this time, and like, hey, we'll put it out there and make money on it and just go to the next one. It killed the game for them, right? I have some hope because of EA now and some of the stuff that they've been talking about, some of the stuff they've been kicking off behind the scenes, and some of the projects they're working on, and some of the things they're saying, right, that they're starting to get it, you know, about what makes some of these games and franchises special. And that's the main thing, man. I don't care about when they really announce the game. It is strange, but I just want it to be good, and I want it to come back because, man, Need for Speed and games like that, I played the shit out of those, dude. And I know a lot of you in the chat did too. How many people out there played Need for Speed Underground and all those Need for Speed Most Wanted back in the day, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, like the original Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, then there was the 360 Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, and then there was the remake last gen of that Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. All of those were great, you know, and I just feel like it needs to be brought back in a big way and done right. So I'm hoping for the best there, dude. 100%. I think Criterion is the one working on it, which they used to make the Burnout games. So I don't know. We'll see how they do, right? Are you pumped for this, Pong? It's just like a wait and see?
It's a wait and I mean, yeah, I'm pumped because again, I enjoy Need for Speeds, and I've tried even the mediocre ones over the past years. Like, it's like I want them to come back like you, Matt.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I want them to come back to glory. I want them to get back to the basics. This whole anime style that they're adding to it, I'm also curious about.
Yeah, what is it going to look like? Yeah,
what's it going to look like? How's it going to perform? What's it going to be? So yeah, no, I'm pumped. Again, I'm a little concerned because they haven't said anything about it. And in the past, when companies hide games, generally it's for a reason. And we've seen this happen time and time again.
Yeah.
So I'm always a little gun shy. But maybe, like you said, this is more just a surprise factor from EA that they're bringing back the franchise, even though we've had all these rumors, even though it's been out there, that they just kind of want to surprise everybody with this. So I am definitely curious, and I am excited because I can't wait to see what they do. And if they make this December 2nd date, hey, we're not too far away from getting our hands on it potentially. So for me, that makes it kind of even more a little bit hype here. So
Do you think
I'm
there's
excited.
some kind of gaming show or something that they could reveal this at in October? I mean, like I can't think of anything unless Xbox has like a surprise XO or something.
When's that Paris show that
Mm,
Xbox said they're going to be at? I don't remember.
I
They just
don't
announced
remember
that they're going
either.
to be at the Paris show, but I don't remember what dates are. I think this is going to be an EA surprise kind of drop deal where they come out
Yeah.
and kind of just do it themselves, and just kind of promote it themselves. So I don't know. I'm definitely interested because it's Need for Speed, and I want to
Yeah.
see how they work all this out. And again, the anime style has definitely got me interested because I'm like, okay, I can see it in my head, but I want to see it in action.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be
see
like
actually how it shows
effects,
up.
like
Yeah, it's gonna be effects,
cartoonized
right?
style effects.
Flames coming out
I will have to
drifting.
say I'm not crazy about the name that's been leaked. That
Yeah.
it is like for some reason Unbound just sounds like one of those like random Need for Speeds that isn't successful. I just off the
Kind of
cuff.
generic.
Yeah,
Kinda
just kind of
generic,
this weird generic name. Now it could be a huge smash success. The name is just one aspect, obviously, right? It
Yeah.
matters how damn good the game is, and then the name will stand behind it. But I'm not super crazy about the name.
Yeah, and the focus that Tom Henderson is saying that their focus is the multiplayer aspect. For me, again, I'm not
Yeah.
a big multiplayer racing guy. I like to race against myself and against the AI.
Yeah.
So for me, that gets me a little worried that we're just gonna see a multiplayer like heavy Need for Speed, which for me
Kind of
would
like
be
the crew type experience. Or
yeah, it's not
whatever.
going to be, it's going to be light on the single player experience. But again, wait and see. Need for Speed. Can't wait to have it. And like you said, Criterion's got a great
Yeah.
track record. Again, a lot of pedigree there. So I'm always up for that. So let's see what they bring out. But yeah, that was, it's kind of coming out of the blue here. So we'll see if this happens.
Yeah.
Again, this is coming from Tom Henderson. We'll see if this lines up. If in the next couple of weeks we see a Need for Speed, we'll talk about
Yeah.
it for sure.
Hey,
once we get to see it.
EA, you got Criterion. Bring back Burnout.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Have
Yeah.
another one of your racing devs make Need for Speed, like
Codemasters.
Codemasters.
You got Codemasters now. Yeah, you got Codemasters now. Do it. I said that from the beginning. All right, one more game update, folks, and this is going to be a shocker. This is going to be, blow your minds if you weren't paying attention this week. But listen, the sigh of relief from Sony Santa Monica was heard around the world when this delay came out this week because God of War's got room to breathe now. They were probably sweating bullets over there at Sony Santa Monica because Skull and Bones was scheduled to come out the 9th, just days prior to God of War Ragnarok, and it was probably going to eat up a lot of those God of War Ragnarok sales. So, but Skull and Bones is once again delayed. As shocking as this all is.
What?
Yeah.
Skull and Bones was delayed?
Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones was supposed to be coming out in November.
How surprising.
Coming out in November. And here we are. It got delayed officially by Ubisoft. It needs more time in the oven, Mav.
Ooh, due to feedback from the playtesters.
Yeah.
That's promising.
So they're giving the devs until March 9th of 2023. That's right. We got another one moved to 2023. March 9th, 2023. The $70 Skull and Bones will be available March 9th. Again, for anybody who's been following the development of this game, who, again, like a lot of us thought it was vaporware, that we were never going to see this game. In all honesty, this is not shocking. I'm a pirate guy, so I am semi-interested in this game. I'm not interested in it $70 for what they've shown me so far. I'm not interested in $70. But will I be playing Skull and Bones at some point, whether through Ubisoft Plus, if that ever comes to Xbox as was told to us it was going to, or whether it goes on half-price sale 2-3 weeks after it drops, which Ubisoft games tend to do, I will be playing Skull and Bones at some point because I love Pirate's Life. Okay, Sea of Thieves I like it, but the animation style is not for me. This is more my style of Pirates. So I will be playing this game. So I am kind of excited for this game. If it needs more time in the oven, give it. That's fine. That's cool with me. We're all about that. But yeah, Mav, were you shocked and awed by this? Were you?
I honestly was a little surprised because it's been so long that I was like, okay, they're finally gonna release this game, But when they showed so little of it at the Ubisoft show, which was their big opportunity to really hype it up, like it's their own show, their own showcase, and it's their only big AAA thing releasing this year, this holiday, and they like only showed cannon swapping and stuff like that.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I was like, that's kind of strange. I've been I would be more interested in this game if I felt like Ubisoft had full confidence in it, right?
Sure.
I am going to play this because I also the style of the game looks up my alley, right? Like it looks like it's up my alley. But I was not anticipating them to drop that $70 price tag. And when we brought that up when they first did the first blowout and brought that to attention, I was like, wow, that's gonna not do well at launch, right?
Right.
A new IP that has not had a lot of confidence in the community to begin with, putting that one there, at that price tag on consoles only, PC still 60, was not a very like brilliant move business wise by Ubisoft for the success of this game. And at that point, I was like, you know what, I'm sure this game's going to be good because Ubisoft makes good quality titles, right? Like they have really
Right.
talented devs, and I'm sure it's going to be good. But I was like going to be like, okay, I'll just avoid the launch and I'll pick it up when it goes on sale, or I'll get it with Ubisoft Plus. The question I have is now, does this delay the potential release of Ubisoft Plus on consoles? Would they have not given us a date, but it was supposed to originally been coming potentially this year, which we haven't heard anything about that. But are you going to launch the service on consoles when you don't have a big title to put with it? You know what I mean? So potentially maybe that would push Ubisoft Plus consoles come to next year, maybe early March or late February, something like that. Maybe just before the hype of that game gets kicked off. It's just intriguing, man. Ubisoft is so strange. Like they don't know
are.
what the heck. They make high quality games. Like the Division 2 is amazing right now. And other
They seem to have figured out Assassin's Creed now.
yeah, Assassin's Creed, they got that.
Seem to have figured that out now.
Assassin's Creed is mind blowing. Like even at Valhalla, even though Valhalla isn't the most fun, Assassin's Creed is so like freaking impressive,
Yeah. $1 billion franchise.
And they got this whole Assassin's Creed thing they were doing at their show. They got lots of cool announcements coming. You got a Star Wars game in the Snowdrop. You got the Avatar game coming that looks kind of like Far Cry-ish. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
They got lots of things cooking. They got lots of the other stuff that we're not huge fans of, right? They finally got the Splinter Cell remake announced. That's really going to be a big deal once they finally reveal it to the masses as far as what the game's going to look like and what it's going to play like and everything. And we actually get to see it with our eyes. We want to hear those goggles, but then they just do these things like Beyond Good and Evil 2 and Skull and Bones. And like Skull and Bones was announced forever ago. Went through supposedly several reboots, restarts. They didn't know what to make of it. They didn't know what to do with it. Originally, everybody's just like, just split it off and do what you did with Black Flag, but make it just pirates. You don't need assassins and stuff, and make your own pirate game. And it seemed like to make a lot of sense, and they could have had a huge franchise, but that's not the route that they wanted to go. And maybe they saw other things out there like Sea of Thieves and some other games and like gave them more inspiration about what to do with the genre and all these things. And they kept dabbling back and forth, and they eventually decided on a model for the game, and then they slapped $70 on it. $70 on it was the decision that they made for the price tag, and which was very surprising because a lot of us thought it could have been free to play potentially, or it was going to be more of a budget title with like more of like ongoing content. You know what I mean? But because of all of this, and now the reasoning behind the delay on their official statement, which I got to say again, publishers, please find another way to announce a delay other than the death letterhead. Anytime I scroll on Twitter and I see a letterhead from the actual dev team, I know it's an initial. I just know it's bad news or delay, right? I make a video, show confidence in the game, right? Give us a new glimpse at it or something, and talk about it. Not one of your like dev talking in front of a camera, switching cameras all over the place type interview style video, but like give us a little bit more hints and be like, look, this is what we learned from our feedback, and we're implementing this and moving the release date back. Um, I would find more confidence in that on one of these announcements. But overall, don't release the game when it's not ready. They clearly had enough information, according to that letterhead, from the play testers and the insiders that have been playing this game, that it needs more polish. One thing that they said is the development is done, but it needs more time for polish. That's not a good statement to make. Polish is part of the development process. Your development on the game is not done until it's polished, right? So that's just like weird the way they worded that. It doesn't matter. It's just the way they spoke. But the development's obviously not done if there's enough polish that needs to be probably a 4-month delay, right? So
correct.
That's a quarter of a year, or third of a year,
Right.
Yeah. So like I think that they could do better with the messaging on this game in particular, and start showing a little bit of confidence with it, because there's been so little confidence in this game. The only confident thing I've seen from them with this game is the price tag.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. 100%. And shout out to Beyond Good and Evil 2, by the way. Beyond Good and Evil 2, which is supposedly not vaporware. It now holds the record for the most delayed game of all time between the time of announcement to launch. Of course, that auspicious record was held by Duke Nukem Forever, that went 5,156 days from its announcement in 1997 to its release in 2011. It has now been 5,234 days since the Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer was released. And of course, we still have no idea when or if it's coming. So it now holds the record, assuming that it still launches at some point. So shout out to Beyond Good and Evil to 100%. But yeah, Mav, I think you're spot on. Again, the price point is something to be funny. And speaking of $70 games too, I'll throw this out here before we get in the big topic, because we are over 2 hours. And hey, shout out to everybody hanging out with us tonight. Psychonauts, brother, I see you in there. Nukem. Again, welcome to the chat, brother. Welcome to chat. It's good to see you. Thank you for dropping in. Jigga J, Pixel Slappa. I see you all dropping in here. Again, if you guys are liking what you're hearing, please, if you haven't, hit the like button. It does help us. Share it out if you got a moment. Mav and I are going to be on for a little bit longer here, because we do have a big topic to get into. But speaking of $70 games, Mav, I don't know if you saw this. I didn't drop it in the DMs today. Did you hear what's coming to Switch out of the blue?
Yeah, the anniversary edition. Yeah, I was
Skyrim anniversary edition.
What?
And did you hear they're charging $70?
I saw that. I've actually been back and forth with some people, because the regular version is 60 on Switch.
Correct.
So Skyrim is still 60 on the Switch. And this is like add-on content and stuff, which is why they're charging 70. I think they should both be lower.
Yes.
Right? At this point, Skyrim's a really old game. And that way is, if you did Skyrim at 40 or so, which I think is what they're charging on the other platforms, then you could do 60 on the anniversary edition, which is what they're doing on the other platforms. But this isn't like them releasing a new game at $70, which are some people trying to make that out to be.
Yeah, no, either. I agree.
So people are running with that. So my Xbox is on the $70 train now on Switch, and they're, so I think they should take that and lower the price of both of them to match the other platforms. I think the reason it's 60 on Switch is because it's been a more recent release on the Switch. And it goes with Nintendo's pricing model, right?
Yeah.
$60 never dropped down to price on anything, right? So why are Nintendo gamers complaining about that? I don't know. However, $70 for that an old game like that is kind of ridiculous. I would think that they could have taken the initiative to lower the price on the regular and then made that one 60 instead.
Just so crazy, no fanfare again. Just out of the blue. Yeah. By the way, Skyrim Anniversary Edition's dropping. I just love it, man. Todd and his team over there at Bethesda. Shout out to them for. I didn't hear. Is it actually streaming or is it playing natively?
I don't know, man. I have no idea. I don't pay attention to a lot of the.
Yeah, no, neither do I. But I just saw that news today and I had to laugh a little bit. All right, Mav. Let's get into the main topic today. And I had jokingly said this is what we were going to spend 2 hours on talking last night when I dropped this into your DMs. You talked about it. You were streaming NBA 2K23 yesterday. I dropped it into the DMs for everybody when the rumors hit. I'm sure most people are aware of the rumors at this point, but if you aren't, this is going to be kind of shocking to you at this point. We all took it as assault. As Mav put it last night on his stream, this is not just a grain assault. This is not a dump truck assault. This is not a salt factory, but this is an entire salt mine worth of rumors. Okay. And literally it is. Like, I just thought it was, like I said last night when I dropped in DMs, as co-mayor of Speculation Town, I love rumors, but woo boy, this is out there.
Yeah.
However,
I called it bullshit on air last night when I was streaming. Also on Twitter, I've called it bullshit a couple times. However, maybe according to the body, go on.
Yeah, we've had an update today, so we're going to talk about this because the ramifications are fascinating to me. They are absolutely fascinating. And Mav and I kind of went back and forth in DMs. Mav's got still his BS take on it. And there's some very valid points to why this is complete 100% nonsense. But we got to talk about it because, of course, it does involve Halo Infinite and the Battle Royale from certain Affinity, codenamed Tatanka, which was broke by Jez. Again, shout out to Jez Core and Windows Central doing massive work over there as always. He told us about this a long time ago. So let us start from the beginning in case you didn't hear about this. So last night, Idle Sloth, shout out to Idle Sloth again,
one of the
amazing
best
member of this community. He throws out content nonstop, keeps us all informed of things. Well, he found this video and Reddit post, and it's from the video is from a YouTuber, Sean W. Dubs, right?
Sean Dubs, I think is what. Yeah,
Sean Dubs.
I'm not familiar with him, but
he's a 70K, 70K subscriber. Does a lot of Halo streaming. He's in the Halo community. He's been around obviously for a while, but he does other videos as well. So he released this video on some rumors that he heard. Some of it is pure speculation on his part, and he made that clear in his video. Unfortunately, people never hear that when you say it. Just like when Jez says something and he says it's pure speculation, people still run with it from time to time. That happened to this guy here. So shout out to this guy, though, for putting himself out there, giving the information as he heard it, and then clearly labeling other parts of his information as pure speculation. So I'll just go through the whole thing. We're not going to focus on the pure speculation stuff, but we will focus on one part of it. This is from IdleSoft. Halo Infinite Battle Royale switching engines to Unreal Engine, and it's Unreal Engine 5, and is significantly delayed to 2024-2025. Okay, that's the main one we are going to focus on. I'll read through the rest. Again, take all of this as a salt mine. Okay, all of this is a salt mine right here. Bonnie Ross, not fired, was actually planning on leaving. Bobby Kotick, out as CEO, but staying on as a board member. And Mav and I went he was talking on stream and I was kind of in the chats. Bobby Kotick, if he was to stay on a board member, means that he would be invited to the Microsoft board because if the acquisition goes through of ABK, that board is paid and dissolved. So that would mean that Microsoft is inviting Bobby Kotick to the Microsoft board. I think that part was in the heavy speculation part. Yeah, that was in heavy speculation.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
And the next campaign content will not be on the Slip Space engine. So let me get into the significant amount of speculation on the video.
I think that's also in speculation as well. Yes. I'm not sure, right?
Yes. So that's where the Halo the Endless name has come from. Halo the Endless has been out there for a while. Some new hires at 343 have hinted that they are working on this new campaign, whatever it is. They've taken down those posts after they've posted them. So Halo the Endless has been out there, and it's part of the lore, right, Mav? If I'm not wrong, for Halo.
Yeah, at the end of Halo, I don't want to give you spoilers, but it alludes to this, right?
It alludes, yeah. So it's part of the official lore. But anyways, that's supposedly going to be also on Unreal Engine 5 as well. Significant amount of speculation on the video, which he specifically says he'll call it when it's speculation, but he said he heard from multiple people that the Halo Infinite BR, again, that's made by Certain Affinity, which Certain Affinity came out and finally confirmed officially that they are working on something big for Halo. Okay, so they did make that official statement finally, even though we've known about it thanks to Jez for a long time. Is getting delayed because they are switching engines, possibly to Unreal Engine 5. Speculates delayed from fall of 2023 to 2024-2025. Bonnie Ross wasn't fired, did really leave due to a family emergency. She was the shakeup in management isn't really a shakeup as we think. She was supposed to be leaving, and the timing coincided with the roadmap. Isn't that she? Wait, hold on here. This is had to have been weeks, months in the works to ensure a smooth transition of management. Whether or not she got truly fired is something else. But he said it was not told specifically. Now, this is the really heavy speculation part of his video. And comes from within 343. This is kind of the talk supposedly within 343. Bonnie Ross might come back to take over Activision after the ABK buy goes through. Says that the current info that he's heard is that Bobby Kotick will be out as CEO, but will remain as a board member. Also heard that the next campaign won't be in the Slipspace engine. Lots of speculation, so try to stick with the leak aspect. Typed all this up on my phone. We'll try to update and format when I get home. All right, so we're not going to talk about the Bonnie Ross situation or whatever else, even though that makes some kind of sense if she were to come back and head up ABK. But again, we're not going to get into all that. It's not necessary. Bobby Kotick stuff seems utterly ridiculous and just totally out of the realm of possibility. And we're going to talk about the certain Affinity, though, moving to Unreal Engine 5 from Slipspace. Now, why we're focused on this is because today Jez had initially dismissed all of this. Okay, he made some tweets where he dismissed it, said it's not true, that it's not accurate, was his exact words. And then he came out earlier this morning and said that I deleted my tweets about the Halo stuff because everyone is piling on the reporter. Again, that's Sean Dubs, which ain't fair in my opinion. I will hopefully have some details about what's going on with Tatanka and Halo Infinite for the Xbox 2 podcast this week. And then he made some more tweets because some people started asking questions. And he said, the more I look into this, the more I think Sean W. Dubs could be right. And then somebody asked him, even the engine, and just said, the delays, I believe anyway. The game was originally meant to launch in January of this year, by the way. He confirmed that today on Archimedes' show. Shout out to Boxenberger, Archimedes, who had the World of Gaming today with him and Dutch, and they got Jez actually, he was asking if he could talk about this on air, and Jez says, I'll come on and talk about it. So Jez actually went on his show today. Shout out to those guys over there. They had a great show. Everything is being constantly delayed, so that wasn't really too controversial. But the switch to Unreal seemed unreal to me. But some things are lining up to suggest that it's true. And then he goes on to say, somebody asked him about because Forge was supposed to be a big part of this battle royale mode for certain Affinity, and said, well, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. And just said, yeah, that's in the OG design schematic. But maybe the project has undergone a hard reset because Slipspace simply couldn't handle the battle royale style gameplay. A lot of speculation right now, but there are things lining up to suggest Tatanka might have hit a reset, but not 100% sure yet. And then Sean Dubs came back on Twitter and said, I'm working with Jez right now to try and help further verify information from my sources so that we can get to the bottom of this. I stand by what I stated was not speculation. I don't know what to do about people not actually watching my video where I clearly labeled everything that was speculation. So again, shout out to this dude trying to give good information that he believes is good from his sources. And then he did some speculation parts, and he clearly said it in his video. He wasn't trying to, throw out nonsense. He was just speculating, which we do here as well. But Jez went on today with World of Gaming with Archimedes, Boxenberger, and Wandering Dutch, and he said that he and a bunch of other journalists, some other journalists right now, are heavily investigating this, and they're trying to confirm, deny, they're trying to get some information pieces together as we speak. He said he had nothing concrete, but it sort of is lining up. And his points today, and I'm going to paraphrase all this because it was live. I was at work. I didn't take notes or anything, but I know the gist of what Jez was going for here. He said, we know for a fact, even though Microsoft and Xbox haven't confirmed it, and Jez has reached out to them for comment, and they won't give him any comments. But we know for a fact that the lead engineer of the Slipspace engine is no longer with Microsoft and Xbox. He is gone, and I forget his name offhand.
Yeah.
But he is gone. Okay, we know that for a fact. And then he also said that I think I wrote to you here, Matt, so I can cover it. Let's see here.
Was he replaced? Do we know if he was replaced with somebody
No,
else?
we do not know he was replaced yet at all. Also knows that Tatanka was scheduled for January 2022 and now has been delayed for an extended period of time. Only assumed time frames based on his knowledge of. That's when he was talking about. He thought it would be season 3 when he was talking about an Xbox 2 originally with Rand. But he said that was all based on the assumptions because he knew that they had been working on this for a long time. So he was assuming the time frames based on his knowledge. He knows that Slipspace, Jez said that he knows that Slipspace is a problem to work with, and it still has very limited tools. So third parties and contracted devs have a steep learning curve, which has also resulted in hiring problems at 343. They can't get people to come in and work because the engine is what it is. All right, Math. So we're still waiting on confirmation. Obviously, again, we're in speculation town here as well, obviously. This is fascinating to me because we talked about this. We talked about this leading up to the launch of Halo Infinite. Then we talked about it after the delay. We've heard the rumblings about Slipspace, memory issues on the older systems. They created Slipspace to supposedly be able to have easy transition between last gen and current gen. That it was supposed to do all these great things. We've seen a lot of great stuff out of Slipspace. There's no doubt about it. Again, the Halo multiplayer has been fantastic. The campaign was awesome. It's been more of a content issue. Yes, there's some desync issues and things that obviously the community are very upset about. We've talked about those at length, and they need to be fixed. But Slipspace so far has been, from all the outside, looking pretty damn good. But we did talk about that. We heard the problems. We've heard stories that they originally talked about doing Halo Infinite on UE5 originally, but obviously a lot of the devs said we can't make it feel like a Halo game without it being on Slipspace, which is built on the old Halo engine. Certain Affinity is a totally different beast. They're a completely separate company. They've obviously worked on Halo. They've worked on Call of Duties. They've worked on a ton of games. They're making the Monster Hunter game supposedly for Microsoft as well. We knew that they were working on this Battle Royale. They've now confirmed it officially. For you, Mav, your point of view, talk a little bit about why you don't think this makes any sense. And then tell me if you've thought about it enough, why it would make sense to move this project, the Battle Royale, or whatever it turns into be, to Unreal Engine 5 going forward. What do you think?
So my immediate reaction obviously was BS on all of it, right? And, trying to think about picking it apart, okay? There was a lot of the way the tweet was broken down, kind of like checklisted things, right? To make it certain lines to read here, okay? And I'm just going to kind of go into the main ones, the main points, and what I think could be BS, what I think couldn't. Now, speculation is just speculation. We do that here. It's all fun, right? And because I haven't seen the full video, I don't know 100% exactly how he worded it, right? When he was talking, all I have is the notes here, right? So I'm not trying to attack the guy. I don't know him. I'm sure he's a good content creator. I'm sure he's a good dude out there, just putting video out there or whatever. Just when I see the initial reaction for me, I'm like, it was bull, However, if you separate some things out, you could maybe say maybe there'd be a possibility for certain aspects, right? So where I called BS on for the most part was the campaign aspect being in a new engine, okay? And mainly because Halo Infinite's a 10-year type project with the campaign content being added in, like within Infinite itself, right? And I don't know how you would work that with, I'm not a developer, obviously, but I don't know how you'd work that with having more content added to an existing game, but it's in a different engine. So, especially if it's story-based content based on the same world, which we know there was different biomes and stuff that were cut out of this original game. For me, I would think that they would just be going back to that original work they'd already done and adding on and finishing that stuff up and adding more content to finish out the story and add more things into it, right? It just seems like it would make the most sense, especially with how Halo Infinite left off. So that's the main thing I was calling just immediate, like, that's not right, because within Halo Infinite, I would think you would need to stay in the slip space engine if it's within Halo Infinite. Now, thanks 3-bit, I know like there's aspects of like the Master Chief Collection with like the UI interface type things with like armor customization and those aspects that they did use UE4 on, but not the in-game gameplay, right? So with all of that, I don't know how you would do that, right? So maybe a developer out there, if you end up being able to watch this show, is it possible to have Halo Infinite is all in slip space, and then you add campaign content into it, and that's in a completely different engine, right? And the other aspect of that would not necessarily work here either. Okay, so let's say it is a different launcher, and you have Halo Infinite, and you go into this endless campaign. It's going to be really hard for them to nail the same feel of one game engine to the other. So if you build an entire campaign add-on to Infinite within Unreal Engine 5, and then you're going from Halo Infinite regular campaign, and then you go into this aspect, this expansion or whatever, and all of a sudden it doesn't feel the same. It just doesn't make sense. I can't wrap my head around that, right? Around how they could possibly make that work. The only way I could see that happening is if they just scrapped the ongoing campaign content that they had originally planned for Infinite and made a whole new Halo game, which I think would not be the right move either. I think that Infinite has a lot of potential. We've seen a lot of games come back. The engine that you've built is very solid gameplay wise, and maybe it needs tweaking and working on, but it has a good foundation. It just needs some work to get to where it needs to be. And then you can keep pumping out that content, which I think they've already alluded to the fact that they're trying to get to that point, and they've been making strides there in that last interview that they had. Now, who knows if that was accurate or not whatsoever, but that whole campaign aspect, I look at that and it just doesn't add up to me whatsoever, right? Future Halo game, another Halo game, the side project Halo game, a different Halo game made by a different team or somebody else working on another project. Yeah, 100%. Because you could do different things within Halo universe and have different games that feel different ways. But the core Halo thing, with your launching within that engine that they already have built, I just don't know how it's going to work, right? Now, so then I separate, all right, the Battle Royale. Is that possible? I think it could be possible. Is it likely? I don't know, right? They had talked about Unreal Engine using it before. Bonnie Ross alluded to that, and they didn't because of the feel of the game. So when this was originally planned as part of Infinite, which if we go back to recent comments, and again, this is one thing that stepped in my head because recently comment in an interview, we talked about this with certain Affinity talking about their big game that they're working on, their big project they're working on within Halo Infinite. They said it was a Halo Infinite project, right? So because of their language, not saying just Halo project, they said Halo Infinite project. And this was just like last week, I think was this interview. I would think that this is within Halo Infinite. And if it's within Halo Infinite, I would say it's probably in the slip space engine, right? Now, is it possible that they could be building an entirely different mode with and you can launch this within Infinite, kind of like you do Warzone? It's possible. So this within the Battle Royale, I would think there could be a possibility in it. The other aspect to this would it be if it's an entirely new mode and you develop your own systems and everything for it and you're really behind it going forward, could you do it in a different engine? It would potentially have a different feel, but if it's a different thing altogether, never been experienced before in Halo, I think that's okay, right? Like for the traditional Halo experience, I would worry, right? For a new thing that's never been in Halo before, I don't necessarily worry about that as much. I'm welcoming other versions of Halo, right? Other things out there. I'm welcoming, like, I want id to make something in the Halo universe, right? Using their engine as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to
Yeah.
see something created for Halo and an Unreal Engine 5, but the core aspect of Halo, the core like traditional Halo, I do have concern, just like the reason why they said they didn't go to Unreal Engine 5 over getting that feel right. That is purely Halo, right? It'd be like Call of Duty switching to a brand new engine as well. That's not what they've been working on for forever, and all of a sudden, it may not feel like Call of Duty anymore, right? Now can they? I don't know. Again, I'm not a game dev. If you think they can make Unreal Engine 5 feel exactly like Halo, then maybe there's aspects to that campaign stuff that could be potentially true. But again, I've still got issues with like how is it going to launch within the same world, like the same game? How are you going to attach on? Like, is it going to be something completely separate, a completely different launcher, completely different mode, like the Royale would be? Like, I think the battle Royale has the most potential to be true. They said already that they've been in development for 2 years, over 2 years. Certain Affinity did on this project, and that they're the creative lead behind this, right? They have pretty much control over what this is. So if I've also seen conversation about, well, what if it's, issues with the engine and new people coming in? Well, if anybody understands the engine besides 343, it would be Certain Affinity,
Right.
because they've been working with them on Halo Infinite and content and on the game for a long time now. They work on a lot of different things, but maybe they just like, hey, maybe they were like, you know what? We can't get this to work with Battle Royale. We're trying. It has some kind of limitation that we can't manipulate it that way. So maybe we would do a new engine and have a new experience for the Battle Royale version of Halo so they can go all out and do all that they want to do. And it doesn't necessarily matter if it feels exactly like the campaign or like Halo Infinite traditional multiplayer, because guess what? It's a new thing, So I could see some potential possibility for that. So I'm not going to chalk that off as like that's not 100% true. But the other aspects of this, the Codic one, which was speculation, the campaign, which I believe was also speculation, and other aspects there, I just don't think there's a lot to that. The BR thing, who knows, man? Until we get an official announcement of it, we don't know anything. And that would also lead me to believe why they haven't answered any questions on it,
right,
to reporters or journalists, because they're not going to answer questions to a game that hasn't been officially announced yet. It's just a project name right now, right? So what thing is Project Tatanka using a different engine? Like, I don't think they're going to publicly actually address that because they actually haven't officially announced the game yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it doesn't surprise me that they wouldn't necessarily respond to that. Maybe, and again, even with the add-ons and the campaign stuff, they're not necessarily going to address that. The only thing I could foresee them answering a question to would be like, are you transitioning Halo Infinite into a new engine? Which would be crazy. Like, to take an existing game like that and transition.
No.
So that's why a lot of these things just don't add up to me. I'm just trying to think of it like, not only as a passionate Halo fan for what I want, I'm trying to think of it like rational thinking about like what's possible, what's not possible. And I just don't think a lot of this would add up for what the plans would have been. Now, let's say plans like just 100% shifted and they said, we're moving on from Infinite.
Yeah.
That's where you would get to this to make sense. But I think that's the huge wrong move there. I know some people want that. Some people are already calling for it. But I personally think they have too good of a foundation, and Forge coming down the road and all these things. I think there's a lot of potential there that for some positivity around Halo in this next year. And it would be too early to make that kind of call now, right? I know the player counts are out there. It's not high on Steam, right? It's probably higher on Xbox. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the Game Pass app on Xbox PC and things like that. But it just doesn't like. I think that Infinite has a positive outlook in the future, regardless of the past, right?
Sure.
And I think that a Royale, cool. The only side for me with that would be having to wait another 2 years if that was how long it was delayed, But who knows, man? Like, everything's been delayed internally for a long time now. So the fact that it wasn't out early 2022 isn't a surprise either. And if maybe people out there just checking the boxes like, okay, well, it was delayed. Well, the Slipspace engine lead engineer did leave, and all these other things. So maybe things are adding up, and they're trying to make some suggestions or guesses here. But just based on the certain Affinity interview we just had, based on the other things, I wouldn't buy into that 100% yet. But I would be more on, personally, I think more 60% is still on track with the original plan. And I would be like maybe 40% there could be truth to this, because it's just, who knows? Who knows? And that wouldn't bother me if there was a battle royale that was made in Unreal Engine 5, right? That would bother. I know some people heard me make comments before, like, I don't want Halo in Unreal Engine because I think it'll feel different, right?
Right.
I think Slipspace is actually a good engine foundationally as far as gameplay goes, and that's the most important thing for Halo for me. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there, but different experiences within the Halo universe, all these different things that they could do, I welcome that. I want more RTS Halos. I want a horror Halo game with a focus on the blood made by id. I want the battle royale Halo to be as successful as it possibly could be. I could imagine all these different possibilities that they could do with something like that. I want like a third person Halo type situation. Also, there's so many different things I could foresee them doing with the Halo universe. So I don't chalk up any of that kind of stuff as like, no, that ain't happening. It's just about the within infinite stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. No, I get it. Shout out to Alvin with the $5 super chat. He said, you know what? Move it to UE5 and leave Xbox One behind while you're at it. Maybe Forge can get Gorge. I like that. I like the mistake there. Maybe Forge can get us through these couple of years while they reset. All right, Matt. Listen, let me take the really far outside approach here.
Okay.
And because I'm going to take this because this is fascinating to me. This is absolutely fascinating to me on multiple levels, just from a business standpoint, and from making another, I've said that the delay of Halo Infinite for a year, when that is your main franchise, that is your pillar franchise, one of the biggest franchises in the history of gaming, the delay for a year by Phil was one of the gutsiest moves of all time when you're launching a brand new console and you had all your promotional stuff out there that Halo Infinite was launching with your brand new console. To make that decision was the gutsiest moves I've ever seen. So I'm going to take a far out approach here and look at this from the aspect that, let's say, Matt, we saw this with Destiny 1. Destiny 1 was a 10-year plan as well, right?
Yeah. And it
didn't
struggled
work out.
after the first year, right?
Yeah, didn't pan out. And they made the move, which has worked out for Bungie, obviously, to move on to Destiny 2. And it worked out. I'm looking at this from the aspect, what if all this turmoil, what if all of this stuff that's happened that we just see bits and pieces of, we don't even know all the extent of it internally. What happens if Staten's walked in there and looked at everything, gotten down and dirty with Slipspace, gotten down and dirty with the teams, and they found out, like you were alluding to, that Slipspace isn't what they thought it could be, and that there isn't a way to get it to where they thought it could be as an engine going forward for the future of Halo. What happens if they've decided, look, this ain't going to work it. This is not going to work out for us at the end. We could get this thing to produce for Halo Infinite to a certain point, but after that point, what are we going to do? And then they start thinking about Staten and everybody else and Phil. They're all getting together and they're talking about the future of Halo. And like you said, Matt, they've got all these different ideas and projects that they want to do and expand the Halo universe out and do all these different types of games. But they want to keep some kind of cohesiveness at the end of the day. And they say, look, Slipspace isn't going to allow us to do this. Third parties are having a hard time with it. So, license it, giving it out to other people to work on Halo Infinite content is going to be a problem at the end of the day. We're having a problem hiring for 343, which we know was a big problem for them. That's why they had all these contracted workers, which was another big issue for Halo Infinite. So they're looking at this 10-year plan and going, look, we know we wanted this, but it just ain't going to happen. We're not going to be able to carry this thing for 10 years. It's just not going to work. What are we going to do? We've got to keep Halo around. We've got to make Halo, livable down to the futures. We want Halo around for the next 20, 30, 40 years if possible. What are we going to do? And Satan just raises his hand and says, we ditch Slipspace. We can't do it. We got to move forward. We got to try something different. We got to do something new. We got to do something that's going to be easier. So they start realistically looking at this, and they got certain Affinity there, who maybe has been bringing up, like you said, trying to make this battle royale work, coming up with limitations and saying, hey, we're having these issues with subspace, and we can't do this that we want. And again, this is all speculation, folks. Again, I'm just thinking outside the box, but they're saying, listen, we can get it up and running, but we can't do everything that we want to do in this engine. So then they look and say, all right, if there's one company that can afford to cut ties, cut losses when it ain't working, it's Microsoft, right? It's a drop in the bucket, even if they spend hundreds of millions of dollars. And again, we know the figure that's been thrown around, but let's be real, we don't know shit. Let's just say it's a couple $100 million that they spent. They can cut ties. And so what do they do? They say internally, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're getting Forge ready. Forge is going to give us a ton of content from the community. It's working really well. We're going to give all these tools to the community. Staten says, hey, I got a couple other things that we can get out for Halo Infinite, that we can get this thing to live for another, let's say, 3 years. We can get this thing to live for another 3 years. I can get content out, but let's break the team off. Certain Affinity, you guys are going to be the first. And you guys are going to set up kind of the roadmap with Unreal Engine 5 with your Battle Royale for what future Halo is going to look like, what it's going to play like. And we want you guys to get Unreal. We're going to want you to get down and dirty with Unreal Engine 5 and see how close to the Halo feel, because they know, like you said, Mav, if anybody knows outside of 343, it's Certain Affinity, what Halo feels like and what it's supposed to, how the movement's supposed to be, everything that goes into Halo, gunplay, they know. So see what you guys can do with Unreal 5 on this Battle Royale, and let's let you guys lay the blueprint, and then, obviously going forward. Then, like you said, the campaign mode. I still think that Staten has plans in Slipspace for campaign expansion. I still think we see that campaign expansion within Halo Infinite. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But that doesn't mean that a part of the team doesn't break off and start working on Unreal 5 Engine 5 2 for a side project. Like you said, Joseph Staten just came out recently and said he would love to see another ODST.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you get this other team to start working on ODST, but it's not in Slipspace anymore. It's Unreal Engine 5. So then you got Certain Affinity that comes out with this Battle Royale. Again, we're going to cross our fingers, hope that this thing is great, that Certain Affinity nails it. All of a sudden people love what they're seeing in Unreal Engine 5 and a Halo universe in Unreal Engine 5. It's playing well. Get this other team working on an ODST type game, also in Unreal Engine 5. You start setting up the building blocks to transition Halo, but also the community into Halo being on a different engine and being in Unreal Engine 5 if all things work out according to plan. Unreal Engine 5 obviously being one of the easiest engines to work with out there. Tools are just maturing beyond belief. We've seen what small developers are doing with this stuff. Can you imagine what somebody would be able to do it? Now, to your point, Mav, and I understand as an old Halo fan and the community as old Halo fans, scared about what it's going to feel like. Maybe for the health of Halo and going forward, maybe they just make the decision, we just got to get the community used to the fact that this is the way it's going to be going forward. And then after a few years, they start talking about, hey, Halo Infinite was a 10-year plan. Didn't work out. We're sorry. We gave you a lot of great content. We hope that you guys have all been happy, but we're working on Halo Infinite 2. I'm just going to say that. We're working on Halo Infinite 2. It's going to be on Unreal Engine 5. You've seen what Certain Affinity have done with it. You've seen this other side project, this side game, this ODST2 that we had part of our team work on. You've seen what it's done there. It's awesome. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It plays great. This is where we're moving Halo Infinite going forward into the future. We still have big plans for Halo. We got tons of ideas. We're going to break this out. Unreal Engine 5 is going to help us make all those things a reality. Slipspace just wasn't it. And they don't even have to say anything about Slipspace. They just move on. So I think that's what's fascinating to me here, that they could be easing this transition, that the internally, and this would be, if this decision has been made, it's going to be a few people who know. They're going to present things to like certain, the Certain Affinity will obviously know that they're going to move and they're working on Unreal Engine 5, but that's because of the limitation of Slipspace. But if they've decided this, only a few people are going to know. And I think that it's going to be slowly kind of spread out, like, hey, this is what we're doing. More of the team members move over, more of the team members move over, where they start, finally getting to the point where they start talking about what a new Halo Infinite or whatever they want to call Halo in the future is going to look like. And then they start saying, hey, we're going to start working this on Unreal Engine 5. I think this could make sense. I think for the future of Halo, if Slipspace, and again, this is a big if, I know nothing. I'm not even close to being a dev. I know what I know from 3-bit and from listening to people who are dev talk about these engines. I'm not a tech guy. But if they've decided internally that Slipspace is not the engine that it needs to be to keep this thing going into the future, then yes, at some point you have to decide, sorry, we're cutting ties. We got to move on to something else. And I think that's what could be happening at this point. And that's why this has leaked out, or these rumors have started internally from 343 that this is what's going on. But we're going to get clarity. Again, we're just in speculation town. Take everything as a salt mine right now. This is just, it's fascinating to me for a franchise as big as Halo, and as for as many, again, one of the biggest franchises in the history of video games. I will never take anything away from Halo. It changed the gaming landscape completely, 100%. If Microsoft and Xbox makes this decision, this would be one of the biggest decisions in gaming history to do this. This would be crazy.
It would be nuts. It would be like,
yeah.
So it would create a huge division within the community about people like, yeah, let's go to Unreal. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people that aren't as into Halo, like hardcore, want to see that move because they want like this badass Unreal experience, right? Yeah. Unreal, give us Unreal Engine 5 because it's badass. But then like you have a lot of the people that just like have this certain passion for like Halos of the past and the love and one of the aspects that has always made Halo for me is nothing else feels like Halo, right?
Right.
Like I get that. Just the way that, like, there's a certain aspect of it that is just purely Halo. And what they did with the Slipspace engine there was be able to masterfully capture that feel, but bring it forward with the graphics and be able to put it in a bigger world and have more enemies on screen and do all these different things. And it was like, wow. And even the multiplayer, like the gameplay aspect of it, like is not the issue, right? That has been universally praised. Mm-hmm. And they nailed it, right? They nailed it times a million with the feel of what Halo should be in today's day and age, right? Yep. And my fear is if they do move on from Slipspace and they abandon it and go into Unreal, it could potentially feel more like a generic shooter, right?
Understand.
And more like other games. Like there's a lot of devs out there that can just see it. 3-bit's one of them. They can see a game running and they just like, that's it. Oh, they're used Unreal Engine, right? And we played a lot of Unreal Engine games over the past decades, right? And there's a certain feel to them and look a lot of times that you can just notice within an Unreal Engine game. Now that they're very flexible and they can do lots of different things. But a lot of times, even when I'm playing a game, I'd be like, oh, this feels like it was an Unreal. And that goes for other engines too, not just Unreal Engine. Like if you have like the Creation Engine, Snowdrop Engine, or the Cry Engine, right? Or you have the Assassin's Creed engine that they use, or like whatever. They just all have a specific feel. The Apex engine also like is like Second Extinction and games like that. Mm-hmm. The guns feel a certain way, right? Arcane games all feel a certain way, and a lot of it's based on the different tech and everything that they use. So my major concern with a traditional Halo game, like the actual linear, like the arena shooter with a campaign that's with a traditional story going on the Master Chief saga and everything like that, is if you make that in something that doesn't bring forward the core aspects of, that's what they did with Slipspace, which is probably why they're having trouble, right? Yes. Then it may lose that feeling. Now, could that eventually be okay? Because guess what? It welcomes in a whole new audience, and people love the new feel, and people love the new look, and people just love Halo. It'd be like it's like a reboot at that point, right? Yes. Right. Yeah. Maybe so. But it would still be at that point, if that happened, a sad day, knowing that traditional feel potentially will never be in a new Halo game, right? And that's where my concern and fear is, and that's one of the reasons why they decided to do Slipspace. And they've said this in interviews, that that is the main reason they decided to do this new engine, is to maintain the essence of what Halo is, because they had fears that they can't recapture the
Right.
feeling within Unreal Engine, right?
Right.
So everybody that's been crying for it, I understand. I get you. But you also got to understand where a lot of the players, were before, about why they don't want to lose that feeling of the game, because it is a special feeling within
Mhm.
Halo that no other game has been able to recreate, and it's why it's one of the godfathers of first person shooters, right? And it's the first smash mega multiplayer campaign hit on console that brought people to really see what a first person shooter could be. Now, is there truth to this? I don't know. But other aspect to this is, if it is true and they are moving forward and going to eventually abandon slip space altogether, it would also be sad from the point of they didn't follow through on their promises and their visions for this game,
Right.
right? Which is something I got to give crap to any developer for, or any studio, or any publisher for. If you release something and you promise us a vision and what this is, people are buying that product
Mhm.
with the aspects of what you've been marketed to, and what the promises of the marketing and all the aspects of everything you've told us about this project. And if you go forward and 4 years later, end end support for the game, end content for the game, you're working on your new thing because it wasn't a good hit, that is not what I think, what I see, or what I want out of Microsoft. For me, I want them to fight and bring it back and try and gain back that audience and bring it to what it should be, right?
Right.
And for me, it could be an easy way out,
Mhm.
right? And maybe it's necessity. Maybe it's necessity that they have to swallow that pride and that pill and go forward again in front of everybody, and be like, "Hey, we're sorry," you know,
Mhm.
and which they've had to do numerous times.
Right.
Um, but it's not something that I would personally be excited for if they announced
Right.
that, right? I would have a moment of sadness. I got a pit in my stomach even thinking
Yeah.
about it, because I'm so excited about Infinite in the future that it's had from the moment they announced what the vision was for this game, the new engine and all these things. And it's just been 1 year. It hasn't even been one full year yet,
Correct.
right? It has not
Correct.
been a success to this point. Ultimately, they've had a content issue. They are saying they're trying to get that corrected and everything, and bring the players back. So we're gonna see how it goes. Um, but I'm not ready to ride that train yet.
Yeah.
I see a lot of the community is, and I
Sure.
think that ultimately Halo Infinite can be saved, and it can become a huge, massive success and a huge hit again. As far as the battle royale goes, personally, I don't care what engine that's made in, because it's going to be a completely new, unique experience for me anyway, right? With Halo,
Mhm.
so
Sure.
I don't need it to feel like the arena shooter Halo. If you
Right.
do something else, that's cool. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I would even welcome it, because it's a new experience, right? But not within Halo Infinite.
Sure.
That's what throws me off. And if they abandon it for another project, that's not the right move. So that's why, and I don't think the Halo Endless campaign, that would have to be a whole new game for that rumor or speculation
Mhm.
to be truth to
Sure.
me,
Right.
right?
Right. No, I think you bring up again. All your feelings are very valid. The one thing I have heard from UE5, because back in the day, you're right, Matt. UE Unreal had a certain feel to it. You knew when games were made in Unreal. Now, what I've heard from outside sources, obviously, and people talking about it, is that Unreal 5 is so flexible that feel, people think that Unreal 5 is going to allow developers to create unique feelings, that it's not going to all feel the same type of engine. And if that's the case, if it's that flexible and the tools are that good, that's why I'm saying certain
Yeah.
Affinity could be the test bed to try to see how close to that Halo feel they can get with Unreal, right?
Hmm.
That's the perfect project. Like you said, as a classic Halo fan, you have zero issue if certain Affinity is going to try this with a battle royale, which is going to be
None
completely single
whatsoever.
player.
Yeah, none
Right,
whatsoever.
right, exactly. So it might be the perfect
Yeah.
test bed to see how close and to see how the community responds to Halo being in a different engine if this turns out to be true. And this won't be the first time that we've seen people drop away from their proprietary engines. CD Projekt Red dropped the Red Engine now. They're making Witcher 4 on Unreal, which is going to have a totally different feel than Witcher 3 because it's on the Red Engine, a proprietary engine that they've specifically created to work on for these types of games. So Witcher 4 is going to, we'll see. We'll see how that
State of
turns out.
Decay is going to be using different stuff. Well, I think they actually used Unreal before, but they have like Unreal specialists now working with them and stuff like that. It's like Unreal Engine. I get Microsoft loves the Unreal Engine, right? They do. They want multiple people.
They got Coalition. They got the Masters right there.
Scalebound was canceled because Platinum Games couldn't figure it out. Right. That was one of the reasons.
Never worked on it.
So there's lots of reasons why to like root for this for people, you know what I mean, or to think that it could be a good thing and stuff. And I get that. And for me, if they were to do that personally, I just want it to be another side project or another brand new Halo experience. Yes, and then you got to keep living up to the promises you have promised to people within Halo Infinite, because that's what something you told, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I see Shane, like, you're like, hey, what if they just admit their mistakes and move on? Well, they've been doing that for like ever since Halo Infinite launched. You know what I mean? And just to keep doing it, like, again, that's not the right move. You gotta buckle down, get what you need to do to get it right. And maybe that's why the lead engine guy's gone. Maybe they said, well, maybe he's the issue, right? I mean, maybe they bring somebody else in or whatever. That's why I was asking, has he been replaced?
Yeah,
because that one aspect is like that fact right there helps connect the dots on this rumor a little bit, right?
And that's what Jez was saying, because they haven't confirmed it. They won't respond.
Right.
Jez knows it's a fact. It's a fact. This guy's gone, and they won't say anything, right? So that's why Jez is saying some of these things do line up.
Maybe it's could have been some other kind of issue. Could have been a human resources issue or something that they're not allowed to speak on or something. Who knows exactly what's going on there? There could have been like the HoloLens guy. They could have been. They could have been teammates. Who knows?
Could have
been. We don't know what's going on there behind the scenes. So there's huge factors going on. The other aspect that they had thrown out was speculation is that Bonnie Ross wasn't fired and stuff. But that was just the public announcement anyway. So technically, that's accurate regardless. You know what I mean? So that doesn't really add much.
And Jez made clear the reason why he dismissed the entire thing up front was because he didn't want to talk about the specifics. Boxenberger asked him, well, which ones, because he said there's things in there that he knows for a fact are wrong, and so he dismissed the entire, all the different leaks that were on there, or rumors that were on there, speculation that was on there. Dismissed the entire thing just because a couple of those he knows for a fact. Boxenberger asked him which ones, and Jez said, I'm not gonna get into it because it's going to. He's like, I'm just not in the mood for it if I said something. So he goes, I'm not going to talk.
He always said a couple of things were facts.
No, they weren't.
Oh,
that's
okay,
why he dismissed the whole thing. He knows for So if that's the case, then I think the Bonnie Ross stuff probably was that. But again, the Bobby Kotick stuff is the most ridiculous part. I thought, oh my God, Satya ever invited him to the board? I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
So that would be insane. But no, I just think it's interesting. It's fascinating. It's fascinating at the end of the day, Matt. We're going to have to wait and see, like you said. Who knows? Early next year, certain Affinity might come out. Microsoft might come out. Talk about the BR. Hey, season 4, season 5, it's dropping. It's all good to go. And we're going to say, oh, shit, that was all completely wrong. Whatever. Yeah. But if they have made this decision, it is absolutely fascinating because it is Halo. Again, people can say Halo's dead all day long. It's never going to be dead.
No.
It's still going to draw this attention. Whenever you put Halo in any article, it's going to draw attention. And that's exactly what's happening here. So it's fascinating to me. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. The future of Halo is always fascinating, right?
Oh, of course. And again, the future is unknown. And this industry is constantly changing, and there's always things happening, and things that don't make sense happen every single day in this industry, right? How many things have we gone? Why, like Ubisoft, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This makes zero sense. What are you doing? And yet they still happen. So again, it's just up in the air. It's a possibility. We'll see what happens at the end of the day, but it's going to be a lot to talk about. If any of that stuff comes true, there's going to be a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure. All right, Matt. Well, we're 3 hours in, brother. You want to get everybody out of here? We got a lot of stuff.
Sure, yeah. It's up to you, man. I mean, whatever you want to do. Splendiferous did hit us with a $2 super chat. He said, keep it up, guys. Great show. About to get into shower. I hope you enjoy that shower, Splendiferous.
A little
Appreciate
more
you.
information than we needed, Splend, but all right. Thank you,
Um,
sir.
Also, let's see. Who had just said something also that? Oh, yeah, said. He also said, "Let's keep this going for 2 more hours."
Yeah. This isn't living split screen, brother. It is late at night, okay? I gotta eat at some point.
I gotta say, I just timed you out, Pixel Slapper, because I don't know what nonsense you keep spewing in the chat. It's not making any sense or whatsoever. So it's just like, hey, I just rather not see it. So I just timed you out for a little bit.
Pixel's confusing the chat. All right, well, we don't need that, Pixel.
It's confusing. You, brother, he's confusing me, man. So no hard feelings. I'm just like keep looking at it, and it's distracting me because I keep trying to process what it is you're actually saying. I don't understand. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Whew. Wow. So what Bob does say, he says, by the way, Sean Dubs been a Halo fanboy for a while and was hyping the game. That guy built his whole channel on it, so he wants good for Halo. Yeah, I agree. Like I never watched any of his content.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. All I saw was the list of things from I
watched the video.
Right.
I watched the video, and it wasn't malicious in any intent.
So,
like this guy, he even prefaced when at the beginning of he's like, I don't like doing these videos. He's like, because of the pushback, he goes, it's a kill the messenger situation. So he goes, I don't like doing this, but he's like, I'm going to try one more time. But he goes, I'm going to make it clear what is speculation completely and what is sourced information that I've gotten that I trust.
Which ones was the trust ones? Well, that was the
trust was
the BR.
Affinity. Yeah, the BR moving to UE5.
Is that the only one?
Source. And the other one he said was that the Bonnie Ross speculation about her coming back to run ABK was internal speculation from 343 employees directly.
Okay. So that was just 343 employees saying that may be what's happening, right?
Yes, that's what they believe is happening. Correct.
So out of that, with respect to Sean Dubs, there's nothing there to argue against. The rest of speculation, I could say I disagree with you, but that's just an opinion thing, right?
Right.
The thing with Tatanka, Project Tatanka, the Halo BR could be true, and I would be welcoming of that. Only thing that, again, I think that would suck is having to wait longer. But if it makes for a better BR game, I'm all for it. Whatsoever. I think Halo's going to be in a good spot going forward once Forge releases anyway. So we don't necessarily need this BR game right now. I just am excited about it because I like the BR genre and I love Halo. So, but whenever that happens, it happens. Certain Affinity seems like they are all on board on this project. So, if that's the one main thing that he's heard, cool. You know what I mean? That's I don't necessarily have any issue with that. The other speculation with the Halo Endless campaign, I don't really agree with that. I don't agree with the Kodak thing or whatever. But who knows? You never know, right?
You don't. Again, the things that don't make sense happen in this industry all the fucking time. So whatever. But it was good talking point, and I knew we would have a good discussion about it. It was worthy for sure because it is really interesting just to think about and to see what happens. And I knew, obviously, having you, Mav, as somebody who is that hardcore Halo fan from back in the day, it's always great to get that perspective. Not that all of you are the same, because you're not. Obviously, the Halo community is divided on all parts, but it's just always good to have somebody who's been invested in that game for so long to have a perspective on it. If this stuff were to come about, like what it would mean to you. So great discussion, brother. Is there anything else you really want to talk about, brother?
I want to know real quick, what do you think about that Wild Hearts game?
Oh yeah, Wild Hearts. So let me bring that up here real quick. So Wild Hearts, this was the new. Listen, shout out to Koei Tecmo coming back with
big time. Oh my gosh, lots of games,
bro. You know how much I love. Again, we sit here and talk about how much Square Enix does not get it. Like, they just seem lost. They're as lost as Ubisoft is in some, maybe even more.
Are they part of Embracer Group now or no? Or is that separate? They're just Koei Tecmo.
Yeah, Koei Tecmo's on their own.
Okay,
they're independent.
Right.
Yeah, they're independent.
I gotta check. I don't know who Embracer Group.
Yeah. So no, but it's just great to see companies that have either struggled or in the past, but have been prominent part of this industry for a long time and figure it out. And especially in the East, because the Eastern, again, it's a different mentality over there and it's hard, but we've seen Bandai Namco figure it out.
Capcom
and
Capcom
also, Capcom down and out, figure it out. And now Koei Tecmo, who has been yes, they continuously make Dynasty Warriors and all those games, and that's a great niche, and they become master. I love those games. I love them. But they figured it out, and they're coming back with a vengeance. We've got Wolong. We've got Rise of the Ronin, which is a PlayStation 5 exclusive, which looks incredible.
Yep.
Wolong is getting great reviews from the demo that they put out. People are really loving that aspect. And then out of nowhere, the Omega team, which is the Dynasty Warriors teams, Samurai Warrior team, which is Musu Fighters, for anybody who doesn't know, comes out of the blue and announces a partner. Well, EA comes out and announces a partnership with Koei Tecmo with the Omega team.
It's so crazy.
Omega Dynasty team, I believe it is. Omega Dynasty.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's Omega something. Omega Dynasty, I believe it is. Comes out and announces
Omega Force.
Omega Force. Thank you so much.
Omega Force.
Announces a brand new game, brand new IP called Wild Hearts, in a totally different genre from what Omega Force normally does. A Monster Hunter style-esque game.
Yep.
That's going to be co-op up to 3 players, launching February 17th, 2023 out of the blue. Kind of like Wolong, just here. We got a game ready. Next 6 months.
It's a Monster Hunter clone.
Monster Hunter clone-esque type game with this cool building aspect where you learn technology. Like, this is set in feudal Japan times with obviously mythical monsters, beasts roaming the land, that's ravaging the land. You got to go hunt them, and you're a samurai, different style type warriors, but you learn technology. But it's that old school technology made out of wood, and you still got the gears and stuff, but you could form these crazy looking traps, and you could do it in co-op. So a couple details here: up to 3-player co-op. Use a zone-based system, so it's not going to be an open world. It's going to be zone-based.
Yeah, that was like Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, like Monster Hunter. Yeah. New IP similar to Suikoden, which is another Monster Hunter game, which I loved on the PSP, by the way, or PS Vita. Hunting style game with crafting elements. 4 years in development already. New gameplay trailer coming October 5th. Brother, the video that they popped out, the teaser that they popped out, looked damn cool, man. What did you think when you saw it?
I was like, whoa, okay, cool. And it's crazy. It's like EA partnering with them too. And I don't know if it's because of like the trying to get more funding for the publishing aspect of it.
Yeah, I think this is part of their third-party publishing.
EA original type thing, like it's badass, dude. Koei Tecmo making lots of different big games, bringing them to people all over the world and different genres. And you got Wolong, which is more of your like Soulsy type experience, I would say, a Neo-ish, right? Then you got Rise of the Ronin, which is like your big open world like action game, like Assassin's Creed-ish, right? A little bit is kind of what I'm getting from Rise of the Ronin. And then Ghost of Tsushima style almost, it looks like to me. I don't know if 100% if that's open world, but when they zoomed out on the map, it kind of gave me that feel for Rise of the Ronin that it's going to be really open. And then now you got a Monster Hunter game coming. And I see that Alvin said that, shout out to Alvin, he says they did a massive interview about it, answered a bunch of questions. And apparently Koei Tecmo has had a Monster Hunter game in the East for decades now, and this is based off of that. So cool.
Yeah, it's Suikoden.
Yeah, Suikoden,
right. I forgot. So shout out to Alvin, because I had totally forgot that they were responsible for that as well. So yeah, and that was Omega Force. So they're not breaking out. I
just
didn't know
bringing
Omega
it
Force did Suikoden
everywhere now.
But they're just bringing,
and maybe they're using EA's help to make that happen. Right. Yeah. So man, it seems like they got injected with a lot of funding all of a sudden, or to kick off a lot of projects, dude. Like, but they've been doing deals like almost like Square Enix type deals, upfront money.
Right.
They got the Game Pass deal for Wolong, right? And that's with a Team Ninja, okay? And so they're making good decisions on who they're partnering with here too. So you got Team Ninja, then you got Rise of the Ronin, which is a PlayStation exclusive. So they got an injection of money for that, right? And then now you got this game, which is partnering with EA. So you can imagine that EA has some funding with this as well, right? So, man, it's cool to see them taking these avenues to get more of their games out and become potentially a household name again. Maybe next is Ninja Gaiden.
Well, they talked about that too, right?
Yes,
they said they're willing to outsource Ninja Gaiden.
Which just seems like they're willing to do, like, maybe go to Team Ninja.
To the right team, right?
Right.
So maybe Team Ninja, but if not, if Team Ninja,
Well, Team Ninja is Team Ninja owned by Koei Tecmo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that wouldn't be outsourcing. That would just be, and that
Right.
wouldn't be one of their smaller teams, which they also alluded to as well. That'd be like one of their main teams. So I'm trying to think like who would be a good fit. And
Platinum.
I would have said Platinum, but they're pissed me off with Babylon's Fall. So
I don't care. Platinum still is a fit. They're a home run hitter. Either you get struck out or you home run.
Yeah.
So do
you want them to strike out on Ninja Gaiden?
No. But I think they would bring their gay game, because if you get a Bayonetta, I mean, you look at their games like Bayonetta and Nier Automata, they could pull off a Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, they could.
Easily.
Astral Chain was a huge success for them also.
Otherwise, Capcom.
Capcom?
Yeah, Devil May Cry team.
I've seen people saying Ninja Theory.
Nope.
Don't want it? Like Ninja Theory did a good job with. Yeah. They did a good job with DMC. I know a lot of people, Devil May Cry fans, don't like it because they had a different take on the characters and stuff. But DMC
I want Ninja
awesome.
Theory to keep doing what they're doing.
Right.
I want them to keep going down this road with the
horror and the psychological,
the third person, the really narrative driven style games, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I want them to stay there. But yeah, no, I think that that it's just cool. Again, it's awesome to see Koei Tecmo move forward and figure it out in 2022 how to do this, and to come out with 3 games announcements in such a short span, and they all look fantastic. And we've already got our hands on Wolong, and it's great. It's different. It feels kind of like Elden Ring, but it's different. It feels kind of soulish, but more, obviously Neo, which they have experience with. But they're putting it all together and bringing out this new IP in Wolong. Then Rise of the Ronin, brand new IP, looks great. And then now this game, new IP, but obviously with their Tweak It In experience, they've got that Monster Hunter experience, but they're taking it to a different level and bringing it forward, like you said, Mav. I just think it's freaking amazing when companies figure it out so far. Again, until we get all these games in our hands, we don't know. But to see this company come back, because I've loved their games in the past so much, is awesome. And I think they're onto something here, Mav. And if they can outsource a Ninja Gaiden to an appropriate team who does that well, we get a new Ninja Gaiden because they're willing to license that IP out now that at this point in time, unlike we've seen from Konami, who's held on to their IP and hasn't licensed it out as far as we know of for a long time. So we haven't gotten any Metal Gear games or Silent Hill games for a long time. If the Koei Tecmo is willing to do that and we get another Ninja Gaiden this gen as well.
You weren't a fan of Metal Gear Survive?
I'm one of the people who didn't mind it, actually. I did not mind it. I did not mind it because I knew it. I didn't take it like a Metal Gear game.
Yeah.
I like Metal Gears, but I'm not a hardcore Metal Gear guy.
Right.
Except for, like the original. So for me, I just took it as not a Metal Gear game, and I just kind of liked it. I actually enjoyed some time with it on PlayStation 4 for a while. So I actually thought it was pretty cool. But I know people hate it, and they have every right to hate it because it's not Metal Gear. It's, my God, it's like Ubisoft bastardizing, Tom Clancy games, right? So we've seen that they bastardized Metal Gear for that game. Like that was terrible. So, but as a non-Metal Gear game, I thought it was cool. It had some cool aspects to it, and I love the graphics in it, of course. So, but yeah, sweet stuff, man, for sure.
Cool.
A lot of stuff, and we could sit here. We literally could sit here for another 3 hours for sure.
Yeah.
We can talk about Japanese acquisitions for Microsoft, which we've done plenty, but we didn't talk about that.
Sega.
We didn't talk about the new stuff coming out of Dead Space, saying how they built it from the ground up and how all the animations, and it's going to be one big chunk game. From the moment you start, there's no sections.
Yeah. Respect to EA on that game development. Been really transparent the entire way through. It's really refreshing to see. I love seeing that. I think Ubisoft could use some of that. Ubisoft does these closed tests, and they let only those people play, and they get feedback from them. But they don't showcase really much to the audience out there to get public perception or feelings or showcase the development. Or it's weird. So EA is doing things right now with that aspect for sure. You're on mute, Pong.
God damn. The comeback of Cyberpunk continues. They just passed 20 million in sales milestone, which is absolutely insane. They sold 13 million out the gate. So you can look at it and say, well, they only sold 7 million in 2 years. but from where that game was to surpass 20 million is huge. If they had hit it right, could it be past 30 million right now? Easily. But they didn't. But the fact that it's coming back to this point where people are buying it again, absolutely incredible. Mav, let's touch on this real quick. I want to get your thoughts on this because this just came
Okay.
out today from Axios. We'll touch this on real quick, but I think this is important to everything that we've been talking about and why acquisition season is wide open and why Microsoft is not going to slow down. Axios reports that Saudi Arabia, the Savvy Gaming Group, it's called, plans to invest $37 billion into gaming. 13 billion of that is set aside to acquire a leading game publisher to become a strategic development partner. This comes on the heels of them investing a lot of money into Embracer Group. Saudi Arabia becoming the Savvy Game Group is starting to slowly become the next Tencent here, Mav. What you think about this, brother?
Interesting. I find it weird when governments or whatever are like, if
Yeah.
you want to call it that,
Yep.
injects themselves into an industry like this with, it makes it kind of just worry about where the um priorities would lie, right?
Mhm.
For sure. What they would use with certain assets that they would be obtaining from within the games that
Correct.
they're selling to players and stuff like that. So I don't know 100% what the intentions are there.
Yes.
As they've been investing in a lot of different gaming companies, and it seems like maybe just they're really really big gaming fans that happen to have a lot of power and money. I don't really. It's interesting. I don't know what's going on, dude. It's just
It's
so
investing.
crazy.
It's
Yeah,
investing.
it's
They're
invest.
ultra wealthy, and they're getting
Yeah.
look. They've started the golf competitor to the PGA,
Hmm.
which we all heard about. If you're any kind of golf fan, they've started the competitor to the PGA, which has caused massive turmoil within the PGA.
Hmm.
They've done that. They're investing in soccer clubs. They now own a soccer club. I heard Dutch talking about it with Boxenberger today because Dutch follows soccer and said so far they've been hands on. They've been willing to spend money where it's needed in the soccer club, and so far it's been decent. But to your point, Mav, yeah, it's a little iffy when these groups that are backed by the politics of said country
Hmm.
are involved in our industry because you
Yeah.
don't know what the true intent is. You don't know what they do with the information that they gain from being in the industry. Again, a lot like Tencent, can only trust them so much so far as you can throw them. At the end of the day, and
Right.
it is scary. But this is what Phil talked about, right? All these outside entities coming into the industry, not being what he wants
Yeah.
at all.
Tencent, one of them. Although they're
Yes,
working with him a little bit on the Logitech device.
yes. Keep your
Uh,
enemies close.
yeah, I guess. And then Saudi Arabia investing in multiple different companies, and it's interesting with like what Embracer Group, they already invested heavily in them,
Yep.
so maybe that's the publisher they go after. Although I would think the owner of Embracer Group, Lars, right?
Yeah.
I don't foresee him wanting to sell
Yeah.
at all, So who knows there? I think it'll be interesting to see what they come up with as far as that. Now, maybe they would go the hostile takeover route. Um, Buy a bunch of shares from all the different entities and then just keep
Hmm.
trying that game. Who knows, man, but it seems like they got a lot of budget for gaming right now.
Yep.
It would be nice if they started using it for kind of inject into like creating uh their own uh dev studio culture in the country, right?
Sure.
Fund it within within the country and prop people up to grow successful businesses and get and start your publishing a company and do all these different things, right?
Yep.
Because it's just it's they're not. It's just like it's a country. You know what I mean? It's strange, and um, I understand. Like if buying your way into the industry is obviously a way of doing it, but when you're not a like a company, you're a government. It's still a little strange. I think that you always have to worry about situations like that. So I would just hope that one of these major publishers that we're huge fans of with all these franchises aren't completely owned outright by a nation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope.
Especially one that, again, is questionable. They have human rights violations and
Yeah.
all sorts of. I mean, it's always again.
Imagine
my
the
views on-
HR with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know,
right,
like,
right,
hey,
right.
no cancel culture allowed here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this
Yeah.
is our policy.
There's weird things that could come about. 13 billion for an acquisition. There's not too many publishers that are out of their reach at that point. I mean, even Capcom, even for as much success as they've had, is only, I think it's like a 6 billion market cap. So outside of your EAs and your Take Twos, 13 billion can get you a damn lot. Now, Tencent bought into Ubisoft, so I think Ubisoft is off the table, obviously, as far as that goes. But again, if they want to walk into this industry, they've got the buying power. And right now it's 13 billion, but that doesn't mean if they don't get a taste that they like, that they won't have more, because basically they have unlimited funds. Basically, that's again, with the oil industry backing them from their country, from the government, it's basically unlimited funds, and really nothing's off the table at that point. So we'll see where they go with this, but it sounds like they have a plan. They specifically said $13 billion for a publisher acquisition. I mean, you're telling everybody you're coming. So
I'm trying to think of who the publishers you could have. You said one, Capcom, right?
Yep.
There's several that are obtainable, but like most of the big ones are above that mark, right? So you'd be
the
looking
big
at
giant ones, your EAs, your Take Twos, etc.
Ubisofts and stuff like that. So you'd be looking at smaller pubs, but still a lot of those out there that have really, really great games. So interesting stuff, dude.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, man. Let's get everybody out of here. It's been a nice 3.5 hour show for everybody. We've had a good time. I gotta go eat, go to bed, get up early in the morning. I want to start the day all over again, like most of you have to do out in the real world as well. So, listen, man, it's been a great show. PM and the PM, episode 44, I believe. Chat, you guys were absolutely amazing tonight. But Mav, tell everybody what you got going on starting tomorrow night with Xbox Ultimate, of course, and the family getting together. What's going on this weekend, brother?
That Xbox Ultimate podcast tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you be there. We go left, we go right, we go sideways. We have all kinds of fun on Xbox Ultimate podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday nights. For real though, yeah, we're gonna have a blast. I think Psycho may be able to be there if he has power.
Ooh-wee.
It would be good to have him back. Yes. I hope. Crossing my fingers. But yeah, we'll have a lot of fun tomorrow night. Also, Mondays we got Fun Speculation podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And we're gonna have a lot to talk about. I'm thinking, I've talked to you a little bit about this, Pong, in the DMs. I'm thinking next week might be a big gaming news week, because it's kind of like one of the last opportunities before the rush of like holiday releases, right? For anybody to get out some kind of cool news leading up to this holiday, right? So I have a feeling next week could be pretty cool, and we'll see what may be revealed. I'm hoping we have some awesome stuff to talk about. So tune in to Fun Speculation Podcast, 10 p.m. Eastern on Monday night. And then as always here, PM in the PM. Game streams and more. If there's something worth co-streaming, we'll do that too as well. Videos, live reactions, and I appreciate all the engagement on the comments and from the community. It means a lot. It means a lot. Everything everybody has done to support this channel grow over the last 2 years. So, what about you, Pong Soul? I know you're gonna have a fun Saturday morning.
Yes, sir. Of course. And I'll be on Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night at some point. So be there or be square. But like Mav said, the next 4 to 6 weeks are basically the last of it. Once you get towards Thanksgiving, companies start going on vacation. December is generally shutdown time. Outside of releases, people are gone. So that's why Mav is saying that expect the next few weeks at least to be packed. Hopefully with news that we're going to be able to talk about. So it starts tomorrow night, Xbox Ultimate. And then, of course, Saturday morning, like Mav just alluded to. As you all know, just set your alarms and reminders right now. But I'll have a video tomorrow. So if you forget, I'll be there. I'll have my face on screen telling you to do it anyways. because Living Split Screen will be live, raw, and uncut starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. BST time. Be there for me and my brother from another Steel Rain as we break down all of this freaking news. We're going to be covering it all. And I can't wait to hear Steele's opinions on some of this and more, because we will go for 3+ hours as well, probably 4, unless Steele or I got something going on. So be there Saturday morning for Living Split Screen. And please, if you see my pretty face on your screen, wherever it's at, share it out, please, because we're on mission 1K.
Share your face.
We're trying to get there.
Okay.
Yeah, share my face. Share my face out and tell the people to join us on Living Split Screen. Otherwise, Saturday night is going to be the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam, Fuzzy Belvedere, and myself. Can't remember who the guest. Oh, wait, who's the guest this week? I know who. It's Web Dave. Outbreak Podcast.
Sweet.
Yeah, he's joining us. Yes, he's joining us on Saturday night. If my old memory just didn't fail me, I believe that is 100% correct. So be there Saturday night. Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Bring your questions. Now, we've had a lot of news recently. We haven't been getting a whole lot of questions in at the end of the show because we've been running late. But bring your questions anyway, and if we've got time, we're going to get to them. So be there Saturday night for that. And then, of course, next week is the Xbox Factor Podcast. Don't know if I'll be there yet, but you got to join in anyways. Boom's now got 5 days of shows for y'all. He's not skipping any days anymore. So crazy old Boom's got it going on. One of the best in the business over at Double Barrel Gaming. Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. All good things green. Xbox Factor Podcast. And then, of course, back here next Thursday, 4 p.m. in the PM, like Matt said. Hopefully we'll have a whole bunch of new topics to get down and dirty with all of you. Again, thank you all for joining us. Again, whether you're here for 5 minutes, whether you're here for 3.5 hours, love you all the same. Whether you listen to the live, whether you listen to the future on one of those audio podcasts, listen, love you all the same. Thank you all. Nothing but love and respect. Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. It's the golden age of gaming. Play what you love. Love what you are playing, and there is a lot that you should be playing right now. So I hope you're all enjoying it. Have a great weekend, but we'll talk to you tomorrow night. Mav, get us out of here.
Bye, everybody. Take it easy.